Chapter 51. Rao Qian Renxue didn't say a word to smile. She had dreamed of this step when she saw Shuebeng, and almost didn't laugh and explode. Martial Soul Hall, there are you, my grandfather, and more than 20 titled Douluo, a huge soul master legion. What kind of mentality does my stupid emperor have, dare to dream such a big head dream? Qian Renxue couldn't help feeling very funny. What's more ridiculous is that she really can't imagine her own mother on the surrender list, praying for surrender. If there is that day, as the pride of a strong man, she would rather die than surrender. How do you bully him? Can't you allow him to daydream? Bibi Dong smiled. However, in the next paragraph of the dream, Bibi Dong couldn't laugh. Martial Soul Palace prays for surrender, haha, very good. I heard that the Pope is the most beautiful in the world, the charm is still there. If you want peace, let the Pope come to sleep for me, and I will consider letting you go in Martial Soul City. Everyone! Shuebeng said with a wild laugh. The avalanche that fell asleep in bed didn't realize that there were two substantive black air on the roof of On's house. Avalanche, this seat made you bloody. Bibi Dong said through gritted teeth. However, thinking of his future plans, Bibi Dong still resisted the anger in his heart. Just one step away. Qian Renxue and Bibi Dong are about to come in and take the life of Shuebeng. The dream of avalanche continued. Fortunately, the dude of avalanche did not see the true face of Pope Bibi Dong. Therefore, Bibi Dong was spared from appearing in his disgusting dream. Wearing a dragon robe, he said in the Great Hall, today, in celebration of the destruction of the Star Luo Empire and the destruction of the Martial Soul Palace, I decided to hold a beauty pageant across the continent and accept 3,000 beauties in the harem to enrich my harem. Then the beauty contest began. For the beauty of the entire Douluo Continent to become Emperor Shuebeng, Douluo Continent, among the 3,000 beauties, there are many characters that Qian Renxue is familiar with. Dugubo's granddaughter Dugugu's school fireworks dance of Blazing Academy Ya Lingling of Nine Heart Begonia Shui Binger of Tian Shui University Tang Yuehua of Yuexuan Pavilion Ning Rong Rong of Kai Bao Liulai Sect the granddaughter of the Dragon Snake, Meng Still and many more. Fortunately, Shuebeng hadn't seen Douluo Continent, otherwise he was afraid that he was going to catch all the beauties who had the top number in the entire book. Even Qian Renxue felt that it was fortunate that what she showed in front of the avalanche was only Shui Qinghe's side, otherwise she would see herself appearing in his dreams, and she would be too disgusting to eat. To dominate the Douluo Continent, I just think about beauty pageants. It seems that this is the case for my little brother. It seems that the biggest threat comes from my prince uncle. Qian Renxue said with slightly narrowed eyes. Suddenly, she saw a familiar figure in the harem of the avalanche. This, beast. In the picture, among the 3,000 beauties of Avalanche's harem, Avalanche's little sister and Princess Swikha Ran are among them. Even own little sister didn't let it go. The dream of Avalanche is continuing. He flopped the cards casually and revealed the brand of Duguyan, and said, today, let Dugu noble concubine come to attend me to bed. Then it is love to hear. Bibi Dong wiped away the mist of the avalanche dream. It doesn't matter if you look at these pictures, but don't let your daughter see them. I don't know what old Poison would think when he saw this dream. Qian Renxue said teasingly, it's a pity, my little brother has such a guilty heart, but I don't have the guts. Put it into reality, I'm afraid he can't even think about it. He dare to think, I will let him dare to do it, let him become a doer. Bibi Dong smiled. Doer. My dreams can affect the behavior of real people to a certain extent, and they won't be noticed. Bibi Dong said, it just so happens, since he is such a person, let me give him a trick. With that, Bibi Dong launched a nightmare, and the mist of the nightmare entered the avalanche mansion, covering the avalanche in it. That said, when does Prince Swexing usually contact Dugubo, will he bring Dugugus? Bibi Dong asked. It's hard to say, unless Prince Shuexing has something necessary, otherwise, Dugubo will not take the initiative to find Prince Shuexing, and Dugugus will not go, but it will be Prince Shuexing's birthday in 15 days, Dugubo I will definitely go, as for the lone goose, not sure. Qian Renxue said. Wait, you plan to use the avalanche to destroy the relationship between Dugubo and Prince Shuexing? Qian Renxue asked as if thinking of something. Certainly, however, I won't let him have a chance to succeed. Bibi Dong gave Qian Renxue a relieved look. Qian Renxue was relieved now. She has nothing to do with Dugugus, but she doesn't want her stupid Odoudou to ruin this woman. 15 days from now. Bibi Dong manipulated the nightmare and said, then I will let Shuebeng have another 15 days of beautiful dreams. After everything was done, the sky was close to dawn, and Qian Renxue and Bibi Dong had only left Xuexing's prince's palace, and no one knew the whole process. The sun shone in, and Shuebeng reluctantly woke up from that fragrant dream. He lifted the quilt and saw the embarrassing scene. A pillar of the sky. No way, yesterday's dream was too real. Thinking of the perfect figure of the lone goose in the dream, he twisted his body like a water snake and waited on his own picture, and Shuebeng couldn't help swallowing. This kind of stunner in the world is not something that I can taste from Gulan and Liangjia. Looking at the sunshine outside the window, I think of my big brother Shueqing, his undying smiling face. Whenever I losing face, I always say one sentence, my stupid little brother Yo. The dream is so beautiful and the reality is so cruel. Suddenly Shuebeng doesn't want to face the reality and wants to sleep. Suddenly, the door was kicked open, and a fat middle-aged man in Huxia clothes walked in. Shuebeng, it's all now, you're still sleeping, I asked you to pretend to be a dude, not to make you really a dude. Xuexing said with a hatred of iron and steel. I see, uncle. Shuebeng stepped down and said, by the way, uncle, how do you think I should pursue the lone geese? Pursuing the Douluo goose. Xuexing shook his head and said, don't think about it. Recently, she and the boy from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Long Zone have been walking very close. I don't see any chance. Let Shuebeng pursue the Douluo goose is Xuexing's idea, but unfortunately, Shuebeng does not live up to his talents, not to mention his talent, and he is still a dude. At least he looks like a dude in front of the Douluo goose, and Shuebeng's love enemy, Yu Tianheng, wants his family. There is a family background, you must be talented and talented, the top martial soul blue electric Tyrannosaurus, no matter how you look at it, it is much better than the ugly swan. No chance. Shuebeng said unwillingly, that's because Douluo goose and Yu Tianheng are in the same class, uncle, you transferred me to the Huangdu Academy, wouldn't I have a chance? You figured it out, Douluo Yan and the others are top students in the genius class. Just like you, can you get into this genius class? Don't forget, the chiefs of Huangdu Academy are your brother's people. Xuexing said. Chapter 52. Furthermore, take a pee and take a good photo of yourself, to see how you compare to Yu Tianheng. Prince Xuexing shook his head and said. My prince. Shuebeng said, the prince of the Heaven Do Empire. Yu Tianheng is the future sect leader of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, the current heir. This identity is no worse than your identity as the prince, besides, you are just a dull prince, he is the future heir, you say what? Xuexing said. Shuebeng said dissatisfiedly, dude? Am I dude? If you didn't make me pretend to be dude, would I still need it? Xuexing said, anyway, Douluo goose, you don't have to think about it. Be your dude prince with peace of mind. When you find evidence that your big brother murdered your other two elder brothers in the future Heaven Do throne will be yours. N.S. Yet. Shuebeng nodded. Prince's mansion. After listening to Bibi Dong's plan, Qian Renxue said, it seems that my cheap imperial brother, this time I am immortal and must be peeled off. However, this plan, will it be too? If you want to achieve an extraordinary cause, you must use extraordinary means. If you want Douluo to join us, don't let him be involved with Xuexing. Bibi Dong said, I just magnified the desire in Shuebeng's heart. All actions are based on the avalanche himself, so there will be no possibility of exposure. For more than 10 days, I have lived in the prince's mansion. After 15 days, I will show you a good show. Bibi Dong said. Qian Renxue smiled slightly and said, then I am very much looking forward to what ridiculous things my emperor will do. When you are making 5,000 yuan a day, and you say that I will make 100 million tomorrow, then this is a dream, daydreaming. But when you find a way to set a goal and say that I will earn 8,000 tomorrow, this is a goal. Shuebeng, now just a dude prince, wants talent, has no talent, wants an image and has no image, and has been suppressed by his big brother all the time. If he had a dream, dreaming that he would sit on the throne, destroy Xingluo, level the martial soul palace, unify the Douluo Continent, and collect all the beauty of the world, then when he wakes up, Shuebeng is very awake, because this is simply impossible. Things reached. He can also distinguish what is a dream and what is reality, but the dreams that he has continuously in the next few days are not so far away, on the contrary, they are very close to the avalanche. The dreams of the past few days have all pointed out how avalanche can lead to success. In his dream, he attacked Douluo, became Douluo's grandson-in-law, and gained the support of a titled Douluo. Above the court, he didn't have to pretend to be a dude, nor was he afraid of his big brother. He was above the court, pointed the country and written passionately, and gradually gained the support of the Sui great emperor, and at night, singing with the Douluo night and night, it was so uncomfortable. Later, he attacked Ning Fengzi's daughter, Ning Rongrong, and managed to win the support of the Kaibao glazed glass sect, and his stupid big brother Shueqing he completely lost power after losing the support of the Kaibao glazed glass sect. The emperor father passed the throne to himself, and at the moment he ascended to the throne, he imprisoned his stupid emperor brother in a cell and severely ravaged him, making him worse than death. After several days of dreams, Shuebeng realized that the key to his success was the lone geese. Shuebeng came to Prince's own uncle Snowstar and asked, "Uncle, do you think Douluo is really that important? What is that big?" Shuexing asked. "That is, if I get his support, can I compete with my Dage for the throne?" Shuebeng asked. "Then what do you mean?" Shuexing said with a smile, "Douluo Senior is also a titled Douluo. If he can support you, you will have the right to speak in the entire court, so you don't have to be afraid of you. The cruel Dage harmed you. However, isn't Douluo supporting us now? Wouldn't it be good for him to support me on the face?" Shuebeng asked. "You don't understand, he is used to idle clouds and wild cranes, I just used a personal affection to tie him." Shuexing shook his head and said, "Unless I use this favor, he can't intervene in our royal seat. It's in dispute, but when you use things like favors, you're gone. If so, if I take down Douluo and become his grandson-in-law, will Douluo Expo help me?" Shuebeng asked. Shuexing laughed and said, "You only understand now that this is the purpose I asked you to do this thing. It is not simply to see how beautiful Douluo is, but to draw Douluo behind her. If we have a relationship, our relationship with Douluo will be more intimate, and Douluo is even more unlikely to allow your Dage to harm you." "Uncle." Shuebeng smiled slyly, and said, "Guide to Douluo, do you think I still have a chance?" "You." Shuexing cast a glance at Shuebeng and said, "I hope you will be the granddaughter of Douluo, but depending on this situation, I am afraid that people will become the sect leader of the Blue Power Tyrant Dragon sect. I advise you, or install this dude with peace of mind, and you will find evidence of Dage's cruelty to his brothers in the future. Heaven Do's throne will be yours." Yu Tianheng. Shuebeng didn't listen to the words behind Prince Shuexing. He only felt that Yu Tianheng had robbed own woman and his only chance, he gritted his teeth. However, Shuebeng did not give up, he is a very ambitious person, has a persistent pursuit of power and beauty, if he can get a lone goose, he will receive both power and color. Over the years, he has been living in the shadow of his Dage. Every day, he can only disguise himself as a dude. After all the mocking eyes of the people around him, he has been suppressing himself, but he can't see the hope of overthrowing Dage. Now, he understands that the Douluo is his own hope of turning over. With the help of the Douluo, he stepped onto the first step and was pursuing Ning Rongrong to obtain the support of the 7 treasure glazed glass sect behind him. He was directly supported by 3 titled Douluo. Take down own Dage, it's not a problem at all. However, the emergence of Yu Tianheng turned out to block his hope. Yu Tianheng. Now, besides own Dage Shueqing, Shuebeng hated another person. That night, Shuebeng dreamed again, and the dream continued, but this was not a beautiful dream, but his nightmare. He pursued the Douluo to no avail, while Shueqing he was on the contrary. Behind him was the support of the entire Kaibao glazed glass sect. His talent was valued by his father, and the power of the entire court turned to Shueqing he. Even Prince Shuexing gave up his own uncle and joined his big brother camp, and lost the support of Shuexing, he was nothing. Until Shueqing he ascended to the throne, and he became a prisoner. He sat high on the throne, while he was imprisoned in the secret room of the underground prison and suffered inhuman torture every day. "My stupid emperor, don't think you pretended to be dude all these years. I don't know. The reason why you are left is just to set off my wiseness with your dude. In front of me, you will always be just a trash." Chapter 53. Shuebeng woke up from the dream. This nightmare shocked Shuebeng's heart. "I pretend to be dude, do I know Dage? No, this is just a dream." Shuebeng wiped the sweat off his face and said. Although it was just a dream, it also frightened Shuebeng. On this day, as usual, he invited a few friends to go out to visit the brothel, but on the way he met the three of Ning Fengzi Bon Douluo and Xue Qinghe. He actually read the abuse from Xue Qinghe's eyes. In Xue Qinghe's eyes, it was as if he was a clown on a stage. Shuebeng's heart trembled suddenly. Could it be that I have always pretended to be a dude thing? Dage didn't notice it, but knew it from the beginning. He just borrowed my self-stigma to set off his own prestige, if he was on the throne. I will be destined to have no hope. The whole day, the avalanche was spent in fright. He feels that the dream is real more and more, and own Dage knows the fact that he is disguised. His uncle is likely to fall to Dage Swekine without any hope. And he will eventually become an abandoned son, and once Dage ascends to the throne, he will become a fish in his hands. No. No, this kind of thing absolutely can't happen. Shuebeng said. Shuebeng entered the luxury spot in Tiandu City, bought flowers, bought diamond rings and other things that attract women, and went to the genius class of Huangdu Academy, and found the woman who can decide her destiny and move towards the key, Dugagoose. He put the flowers into a heart shape, and asked Own to open the banner, which read, Dugagoose, I love you. Then, he went straight to Dugayan and said, Yan, I love you, please associate with me. The lone geese said disgustedly, Shuebeng, how many times I have said, I have no interest in you, don't bother me. Goose, don't, Goose, do you think I still have a chance? Shuebeng didn't really like Dugagoose in his heart. He wanted to save himself. Naturally, he didn't want to give up the opportunity to win Dugabo to establish his own power through Dugagoose. At this time, a thunder dragon's claw grabbed Shuebeng's salted pig's hand, and then, Shuebeng turned his head, but saw Yu Tianheng with an angry expression on his face. Shuebeng, I remember how many times I said, don't bother Yan again, otherwise I will meet once, I will fight once, others are afraid of your identity as a prince, I am not afraid. With that said, Yu Tianheng punched Shuebeng in the abdomen and knocked him flying on the spot. On this day, Shuebeng returned to the own room in embarrassment, and he lay down on the bed a little frustrated. The dream continued, and this time, his dream became much more real. On the birthday of Prince Xuexing, Avalanche led the lone geese into the garden, sealed the lone geese with the fragrance of the soul, and brought the lone geese into the secret room to strengthen the lone geese. During the whole process, he used image crystals to record the whole process. The next day, Dugagoose woke up and found that she had no shoes on her body, and her whole body was in severe pain. He was tied to the bed and Shuebeng sat beside her. No matter how stupid she was, she knew what had happened. She wanted to kill Shuebeng, but found that her spirit power was blocked. Why do you treat me like this? Dugayan asked with tears streaming down his face, looking at the avalanche with murderous intent. Shuebeng sat in front of her and said, I like you, even with the most nasty methods, I want to get you. You are not clean anymore, your body belongs to me, can Yu Tianheng still accept you? Shuebeng laughed. I want my grandpa to kill you. Dugayan said angrily. Kill me, provided that you can accept this thing to spread to the world. Shuebeng smiled and took out an image crystal to present everything that happened yesterday to Dugagoose. Tell you quietly, I have thousands of similar crystals. This, you are shameless. Dugayan said bitterly, but there was nothing to do with Shuebeng. Ha, as long as I die, don't think about it, Goose, you still follow me, anyway, you now belong to me, in the future, when I become the emperor, I will be my concubine, with power all over the world, what's wrong? Shuebeng Yindang smiled. Helplessly, for the sake of its own reputation, the lone geese could only survive the avalanche, but after a long time in love, the lone geese finally fell in love with the avalanche. With the support of Dugabo behind Dugagoose, Shuebeng is finally qualified to challenge his stupid Dage. After that, Ning Rongrong also grew up, and Shuebeng used the same method to manage Ning Rongrong. After marrying Ning Rongrong, he brought 7 treasure glazed glass sect from Big Brother. Big Brother, Swekine became a rootless grass. In the end, Shuebeng became the new emperor of the Tiandu Empire, Shuebeng the Great, and Xue Qinghe became a prisoner. Avalanche embraces Huo Wu, Shui Binger, Dugagoose, Ning Rongrong. Standing in a high position, looking at the own big brother condescendingly, he said triumphantly, my stupid big brother, I didn't expect you to have today. Come here, cut off his limbs, cut a man's stick, and soak in the wine tank. Keep it. During the day, the big-headed dream of avalanche was the end of his sleep. He sat up from the bed and carefully recalled the dream he had made yesterday. This is too real, and the feasibility is very high. Why haven't I thought of it before? Xuebeng felt more and more that this dream was very feasible. He patiently resisted the excitement in his heart, thinking about the devilish figure of the Douluo in his dream, thinking that he was going to be supported by a titled Douluo, thinking that in the future, he would slam Dage Swekine under his feet. Picture. His heart was extremely excited, so he got up and immediately left the prince's mansion and headed to the black market in Heaven-Do City. At the black market stall, the stall owner recognized that it was Xuebeng, and said, rare customer, it is Prince Xuebeng, I don't know what you are doing here at my stall. I'm looking for you to buy the antidote for Sanhengxiang and Sanhengxiang. Xuebeng said. Soul fragrance and antidote? Come, hear you. The shopkeeper took out 4 boxes of medicine and handed it to Xuebeng. Xuebeng took the medicine and paid the money and left in a hurry. Ecstasy is a kind of medicine, and it is also a kind of medicine for soul masters. Ordinary ecstasy can use their own soul power to force it out, but the first 2 words of sacred incense are sacred soul. When it releases, it will dissipate the soul power of the soul master, making it useless, just like a mortal. Of course, soul scent is not omnipotent, it is only useful for people below the soul king. Chapter 54. In the prince's mansion, Bibi Dong was sitting on the sofa with his legs folded together, one end supporting his chin, and the other shaking the red wine in his hand, and said, the avalanche has already been set. If nothing happens next, there will be a good show to watch. Qian Renxue smiled and said, I kind of hope Xuebeng will die in the hands of the furious Douluo, but I don't want him to die like this. After all, if nothing else, he is the final winner. How can a winner make him out so easily? Bibi Dong said, it shouldn't be, unless I fail and let him succeed, otherwise Douluo is stupid and will not risk offending an empire to kill a prince, besides, he and Xuexing still have it. It's a favor. Qian Renxue nodded, her beautiful eyes flashed with a pleasant expression, and said, I look forward to that day. Things are going on at the same time. After the relationship between Snowstar and Douluo is separated, we should also go to the Sunset Forest. We will find Douluo to borrow the Feng Shui treasure land and use it. I have sent someone to summon Zhu Douluo over. No one knows the fairy grass in the Sunset Forest better than him. Bibi Dong said. To deal with Douluo, I'm afraid the porcupine Douluo will be necessary to prevent him from dying and breaking the net. Qian Renxue nodded. If you count your mother, there are at least 3 title Douluo, one of them is Super Douluo, I don't know the old poison, do you like this gift? Xuebeng returned to the prince's mansion after buying the incense. If he remembered correctly, that dream reminded him that Prince Uncle Xuexing's birthday was an opportunity, and Xuebeng decided to meet Prince Xuexing. He came to Prince Xuexing's room and knocked on the door. Come in. Xuexing said. After a while Xuexing looked at his nephew and asked, is there anything you want to do with me? Uncle, I want to ask, will the lone goose come on your birthday? Xuebeng asked. Xuexing glanced at Xuebeng and said, my friendship with Douluo Sr. is my friendship with him, and the relationship between us, Douluo generally does not come, you have seen my birthday, when did that girl Douluo come here? Xuexing said. Xuebeng frowned. He didn't usually care about this. After thinking about it carefully, it was indeed the case. Douluo has never brought Douluo to Uncle's mansion as a guest, and Uncle has done nothing. Thinking of the plan in his mind, Xuebeng said, then Uncle, can you also invite Douluo to come here as a guest? It seems that you haven't given up your heart yet. Xuexing said. Of course. Xuebeng said, Uncle, do you really think that you can always hold a title Douluo by just a favor? I don't think so. If I can win the Douluo, the relationship between us and Douluo it's a kiss and a kiss. When the time comes, there will be a title Douluo standing behind me, and I'm not afraid of Dage, right? What you said is correct, but how do you plan to make Douluo fall in love with you? You can't use a strong one. After all, she is Douluo's granddaughter. Xuexing said. Hearing Dao used the word Jiang, Xuebeng's pupils shrank slightly, and he quickly defended, of course I won't use it anymore, Uncle. With this prejudice, I plan to let him see my truest side, let her see the truest me, and use my true side to pursue her and conquer her. You Are you going to confess to Duguyan? Xuexing frowned and said. Yes, uncle, Xuebeng said. Xuexing tapped his finger on the table and said, do you know that secrets, as few people know the better, if your true temperament is revealed by her, it will attract your cold-blooded dage? Suspicion. Moreover, I don't think that your true side can be favored by the lone goose. I believe she will not reveal it. Besides, uncle, if I don't try it, I will be unwilling. If we succeed, then we will have a stable backing behind us. Even if we fail, there will be no loss. Avalanche said. After weighing the pros and cons, Prince Xuexing knocked on the table and said, okay, that's it. In the past few days, you will control your crotch for me and run less into the hook. I will find a person who is good at emotional problems will give you a surprise attack to make up for this knowledge. At the same time, I will also invite Dugagoose to come with him. Prince Xuexing added, remember, this is your last chance. I will create a time for you to get along. Whether you can win the heart of the lone geese depends on you. Xuebeng's tongue licked his lips and said, don't worry, uncle, I will definitely take the heart of Dugagoose. In his mind, it was the beautiful scenery with the Dugagoose in his dream last night. In the following time, at Prince Xuexing's birthday party, in addition to an invitation letter to Dugabo, he also gave an invitation letter to Dugagoose. Xuexing, besides me, also invited Yan Yan, what does he want to do? Dugabo said displeasedly. Although Dugabo was grateful to Xuexing for saving himself, at the same time, he also disliked Prince Xuexing's behavior. He always wanted to tie himself to the ship of the Heaven Do Empire, Prince Xuebeng, Prince Xuebeng. After all, Dugabo's nature dictates that he likes freedom and doesn't like being restrained. Prince Xuexing's behavior is undoubtedly to restrain Dugabo with kindness. He often sent invitations to Dugabo, inviting Dugabo to be a guest at Xuexing's mansion to bring the relationship closer. Although Dugabo was not happy in his heart, he also lost the face of Prince Xuexing due to the favor of the shelter. Now that even his own granddaughter is in the scope of invitation, is it possible that he is planning to beat his own granddaughter? Dugabo quickly guessed the purpose of Prince Xuexing. A long time ago, Prince Xuexing had matched Prince Avalanche with his granddaughter. Unfortunately, besides Avalanche, his granddaughter also had a blue lightning tyrant dragon sect. The kid is pursuing it. Just this Xuebeng boy, even if he is not a dude like the rumors outside, he is not worthy of my granddaughter. Dugabo said displeasedly. The little cabbage he grows, he even looks down on Yu Tianheng, the proud son of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus, let alone Xuebeng, a waste prince who has obviously gone to prostration after running through the hook and playing with him. It's nothing, go there once you go. Anyway, it's impossible for Yan Yan to like avalanches. The old man just happened to let Xuexing die. Time flew fast, and a few days later, the birthday of Prince Xuexing arrived. Chapter 55. Grandpa, I don't want to go to Prince Xuexing's mansion. Duguyan said. Yan Yan, since the prince invited you, we can't lose the courtesy we should have. Dugubo said. Okay. Dugagoose said with a flat mouth. The grandfather and grandson came to the front of Prince Xuexing's mansion in the daytime in advance, but they saw Xuexing's uncle and nephew staying in front of the gate early, waiting for the grandson of Dugubo. Ha ha ha, Dugu Senior is here, my humble house is really brilliant. Xuexing said to Dugubo with a smile on his face. Xuexing, you are not a humble house, you are the prince's mansion. Dugubo laughed. Ha 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 ha, Senior, you laughed. Xuexing brought Dugubo and Dugagoose into the prince's mansion, and the two were talking and laughing like an old friend who hadn't seen each other for several years. When he arrived near the pavilion, Xuexing reached out on the stone seat in front of him, and the black and white chess pieces were already set. Dugu Senior, you love to play chess. I am ready. The birthday banquet is opened in the evening. How many rounds should we kill? Xuexing laughed and said that he came to the side table. Sat down. Yet. Dugubo came to the side of the chess table and sat down and said, indeed, I haven't experienced Prince Xuexing's chess skills for a long time. Let me see if your chess skills have improved or regressed. Xuexing took out a black piece from the chess basket, and when he was about to play, he turned to look at Dugagoose and Xuebeng, and said, let my granddaughter come to my prince's mansion for the first time. Didn't you invite it? Dugubo smiled. Yes, but the prince's mansion is very big. It would be inappropriate for granddaughter to watch our two old guys playing chess here. Why not do this? Xuexing said to Xuebeng, Xuebeng, you take the lone goose. Let's go and visit the king's mansion. Okay, Yan Yan, I'll take you to visit the prince's mansion. Xuebeng said. Duguyan said, no, I'll stay here to watch grandpa play chess. Dugagoose didn't like avalanches, so naturally she couldn't visit any so-called palace with him. She had no interest in this palace at all, and it was only because of being invited. Dugubo also said at this time, Yan Yan, you can go with him. It's really meaningless to watch our two old guys play chess here. Okay, said Duguyan. At this time, Xuebeng left the pavilion with the lone geese. Dugubo and Xuexing were killed on the chessboard. While playing, Dugubo said, Xuexing, our children and grandchildren have their own children and grandchildren, we old guys, we are all old. Xuexing smiled and said, Senior, what you said is. The implication, Xuexing can also hear, that is whether your nephew can chase my granddaughter, that is the matter of the two of them, you should not be too mixed in the future. Xuexing invited own granddaughter to play chess and let own nephew take Dugagoose to visit the prince's mansion. This intention shouldn't be too obvious. Although Dugubo was unhappy, he didn't break it. On the roof above the pavilion, a figure in a black robe stood on the roof, looking at the old man with dark green beard and hair opposite Prince Xuexing through the crystal tiles. Is this Dugubo? My heart is really big. Dugubo didn't expect that Xuebeng would attack On's granddaughter, no, Prince Xuexing would not have thought that On's nephew would use that method. The figure in the black robe flashed, and the next moment appeared at the top of a house in the distance. Xuebeng wandered around the palace with the lone geese. At first, Dugagoose thought that Xuebeng would pursue himself like before, but did not think about it. On the way, Xuebeng was much quieter, like a good guide, introducing every aspect of the prince's mansion. Everywhere. This also relieved Dugagoose, and it seemed that the dude prince had given up his mind. The Dugagoose is naturally very giving face and walks through most of the prince's mansion with Xuebeng. The prince's mansion is very large, like a small fortress. It has a private pavilion, a personal library, a place for trainers, a mimicry training room, etc. The two came to a secluded garden. There was no one else in this garden, only Xuebeng and Dugagoose. His Royal Highness, the palace is over, I want to go back to Grandpa. Duguyan said impatiently. Seeing no one around, it was a quiet place, and an unknown premonition suddenly rose in Duguyan's heart. No hurry, Miss Dugagoose, the prince's mansion is very big, and we have been there one by one. Xuebeng smiled. Where? Duguyan said vigilantly. There was a fragrance in the air, which smelled very well and made people intoxicated. Duguyan Qiang nose couldn't help sniffing. Is this the fragrance of the garden? She suddenly felt a trance, and then she shook her body and fell heavily to the ground. At the moment when her consciousness disappeared, a generous shoulder supported her, and she looked at the person in front of her with dim eyes, Xuebeng, looking at herself with silvery eyes, as if she was a naked prostitute. Waiting for him to taste it. I haven't taken you to my room yet. Xuebeng supported the lone geese and looked at the bewildered lone geese with presumptuous eyes. Feeling the soft touch from his hands, his heart could hardly be filled with desire, and he could not wait for the little beauty in front of him to rectify the law on the spot. Avalanche, you! Duguyan was very flustered, but couldn't stand the violent drug addiction, and passed out. Ha ha ha, Dugagoose, you will be the prince from now on. Xuebeng laughed wildly, and carried the Dugagoose and walked towards his room. Xuebeng kicked open the door of the room, walked in carrying the lone geese, and closed the door with a kick. He threw the drowsy lone geese onto the bed, then pulled the ropes to tie the lone geese's hands and feet, then activated the surrounding image crystals to face the bed, and then eagerly took off his clothes and walked towards the lone geese on the bed. Looking at Dugagoose like a quiet sleeping beauty, her emerald green hair spreads flat on the bed like a folding fan. Her appearance is good, her skin is fat, and she is young, but because of martial soul, her front is convex and backward. It has a flavor that other women don't have. This scene made Xuebeng's eagerness hard to extinguish. Everything in the dream seems to be about to become reality. It is also the lone geese in the garden that is fascinated by the same method, and then he took down the Dugagoose, got the support of Dugubo, and then used the same method to win Ning Rong Rong, and obtained the support of the 7 treasure glazed glass sect. Relying on the beauty, he embarked on an emperor's hegemony and brutally took his stupid big brother. The image of trampling on the solace of the feet fiercely. This bright future is enrolling him. Especially, Douglas is still a rare stunner of him, which is many times better than those Rouge fans when he went shopping in Gulen. Little beauty, I'm here. Xuebeng licked his lips and rushed towards the lone goose. Chapter 56. On the round building on the roof, the figure in black robe watched Avalanche stripping off his own clothes, pounced on the picture of the lone geese, stretched out his fingers to face the lone geese, and an invisible soul force passed. The figure in the black robe is Bibi Dong. Although she uses the lone geese to do the game, it is impossible for Xuebeng to just roll rice and cook mature rice like this. This is too cheap. Tang San's apprentice, the future emperor of the Heaven Do Empire. After doing this, Bibi Dong's figure flashed and disappeared in place. In the corner, the Douglas fell asleep like a sleeping beauty. But under Bibi Dong's spirit power, she regained her consciousness. When she opened her eyes, she saw Xuebeng leaping towards herself naked. Feeling that his hands and feet were tied up, the lone geese who could not use his soul power suddenly understood what was going on. What a sharp soprano sounded out of this house! The avalanche that was about to take the overlord's bow was suddenly stunned. The next moment, he rushed up and covered the lone goose's mouth with one hand. Unfortunately, it's too late. The prince's mansion is very large, and it is difficult for the screams of the Douglas to reach the pavilion, but... In the pavilion, Douluo's ears moved. Douluo's perception ability was very powerful, and he quickly caught the screams of his granddaughter. He didn't care about anything immediately, put down the chess piece with a gloomy face, flashed his figure, and rushed in the direction of the sound source. Seeing that Douluo was so abnormal, Prince Xuexing didn't realize what had happened, but just got up and walked in the direction of Douluo. Xuebeng panicked at this moment. He didn't think that the duration of the effect of the soul-spraying incense was so short, and Douguyan woke up from the coma. He hasn't done this yet. He could only comfort himself. The pavilion where Douluo was located was far away, and he probably didn't hear Douglas's screaming. He tightly covered Douglas's mouth and prevented her from making a sound. Xuebeng knew that the matter had been done, and there was no turning back. He had to do this, otherwise, the anger of a Douluo would be nothing. He can afford it, a little prince. Be quiet, Douglas. After today, you will be mine. What's wrong with me? You follow me. In the future, I will become the emperor. You will be the queen of the Heaven Do Empire. Power is overwhelming. This is jade. Can that guy Tianheng give it to you? Douglas's mouth was covered, and he couldn't speak, but the eyes that responded to Xuebeng with hatred and disgust. Xuebeng selectively ignored the look in Douglas's eyes, and took out another soul-drinking incense from his pocket, preparing to fascinate Douglas once. At this time, boom, the door of the avalanche room exploded, flying around like sawdust. Outside the room, stood a tall and thin, straight figure. This figure had long dark green hair and a pair of snake-like eyes staring at everything in the room. Avalanche was stunned. What followed is the boundless fear struck. This loss, as soon as the hand of the covered Douglas released, Douglas broke free from the avalanche, looking at Douluo outside the door, as if seeing a savior, said to Douluo outside the door, "Grandpa, save me, avalanche drug me, my soul power can no longer be used." Douluo's complexion was low, and his emerald green pupils looked at everything in the room. His own granddaughter was tied to the bed and couldn't move. What Xuebeng held in his hand was the magic medicine of the Soul Master Realm, the fragrance of the soul. Xuebeng was sitting naked by the bed, and there were some image crystals recording all this around. As titled Douluo, which is a simple existence, Douluo could probably guess the ins and outs of this. Xuebeng first fascinated his granddaughter with the fragrance of the soul, then took her to the room and used her to force her, and then recorded everything with the image crystal, so as to threaten his granddaughter afterwards. "Avalanche. I want you to die," Douluo said angrily. An invisible, suffocating coercion pressed toward the avalanche. The avalanche trembled like chaff, fell from the bed, and was suppressed like a dead dog by the coercion of Douluo's title Douluo level. Later, Xuexing was late to arrive. Seeing the scene in the room, his feet softened and he almost fell to the ground. Avalanche. This avalanche wanted to strengthen Douluo's granddaughter Douglas. Oh my god, who gave him such courage? It's daring. Does the identity of Prince Tiendo give you the courage? I saw Douluo lifted up easily, and a dark green soul power gathered in Douluo's palm. Avalanche. Xuexing was shocked to see the scene. Douluo is going to kill Avalanche. Uncle, save me, I don't want to die. Xuebeng was pressed by Douluo's breath like a dead dog, and when he saw the dark green soul power in Douluo's palm, he was terrified and quickly said to own uncle. Hold on, Douluo Sr., things haven't happened yet, can you look at my face and let my nephew go? Xuexing said. Xuebeng is the son of Emperor Shuye, and his uncle cannot watch him being killed by Douluo, besides. He is his bargaining chip against the princeling party. He offended the prince. If Xuebeng died in the hands of Douluo, the throne of the Tiandu royal family would fall into the hands of Xue Qinghe in the future. At that time, in front of this nephew Xue Qinghe, will he not be a fish? In front of my granddaughter's innocence, what is your face? A more terrifying aura fell on Xuexing's body, and his soul king level cultivation base couldn't resist it. He was pressed to the ground, and blood was bleeding from his knees. Xuexing, you have a part in this matter today, Douluo said coldly. Xuexing smiled bitterly. Yes, it was the invitation letter he gave to Douluo, and he held Douluo, so that Xuebeng and Douluo had a chance to get along. Now that such a jerk has happened, it is inevitable that Douluo will connect the two things, and he can't escape the relationship. Douluo Sr., I am very sorry for the matter to my granddaughter, but Xuebeng can't die. After all, he is the prince of the Heaven Do Empire, so let's have a good relationship between you and me. Let Xuebeng be spared. The dark green soul power in the palm of Douluo's palm dissipated, he did not speak, but went straight to the bed, cut the rope that bound his granddaughter, hugged the frightened Douluo in his arms, and then coldly looked at Prince Xuexing said, Humph, even if you are the prince and uncle of the Heaven Do Empire, for the sake of the old man and granddaughter's innocence, I killed you, what can Emperor Shuye do with me? Douluo said, however, the old man is not the one who will avenge the grievances. You saved the old man's life in the past, but now, you and I have nothing to do with each other. Don't bother the old man in the future, otherwise yes. Prince Xuexing nodded like a chicken pecking rice. Chapter 57. Douluo Ye and Sun walked in the direction of Sunset Forest House. Grandpa, why didn't you kill the thief Xuebeng? Douluo said bitterly. Almost robbed of his innocence by Avalanche, Douluo hated Avalanche so much that he could not wait to kill him. Douluo shook his head and said, Goose, we have offended the Martial Soul Palace. When we offend the Heaven Do Empire, there will be no place for us to live in this world. But, can't we still go to the Star Luo Empire? I believe that with your titled Douluo Grandpa, you will definitely get better treatment in the Star Luo Empire than in the Heaven Do Empire. Douluo suggested. Douluo smiled bitterly and said, people can walk, but things can't. Things. Douluo did not answer Douluo's words. How strong is title Douluo? You can't move the Sunset Forest to the Star Luo Empire. Douluo is very poisonous, and his life is suppressed by the unique breath of the eyes of ice and fire. I believe that after leaving this land, I believe that it will not be long before the world will say that the poisonous body will die. News. Douluo touched Douluo's hair and said, don't worry, Yan, this is because Xuebeng did not do those things. If you do, today, I will kill Xuebeng in whatever I say. Yet. Douluo pulled Douluo's robe tighter and tighter. On the other side, in the avalanche room when Douluo left, the two nephews and uncles almost walked through the ghost gate. Prince Xuexing stood up, his heart was dripping blood, and the favor of a title Douluo was just used up. Without this Douluo, what would he fight with his nephew in the future? Xue Qinghe was Ning Fengzi's apprentice, and behind him was the seven treasure glazed glass sect, the two titled Douluo sword bones. He hatedly looked at the avalanche lying on the ground like a dead dog, and said, you still don't want to put on my clothes, do you think your losing face is not big enough? Xuebeng realized that he was naked, his face flushed, and he picked up pieces of clothes from the ground and put on them. After she was dressed, Xuexing went straight to the avalanche, looked at the layout of the room, and slapped the avalanche fan to the ground. Uncle Emperor, why are you hitting me? Xuebeng said, rubbing his swollen face. Yes, I use your uncle my hand to attract Douluo, and then you are doing this nasty thing, you are so courageous, if this matter today spreads out, you will have no chance. Xuexing said bitterly. Xuebeng covered his face, unwilling to say, Uncle, you have seen it all, I am ready for all of this, as long as I get the Douluo, afterwards, use the crystal image to threaten the Douluo to give up and let her stay with me. In the future, Douluo will be on the same boat with me, but unfortunately, the effect of this medicine is not good. Before things are done, Douluo woke up. Haha, Your plan is good, but if it fails, don't find a reason for failure. Prince Xuexing said, I cooperated with you beforehand just to give you a chance to win the lone geese. No matter how bad it is, it will make you give up. I reminded you not to use strong, but you still used it. Is this the truest aspect of you? If so, I don't think you should pretend to be a dude prince. Isn't this your nature? The key is, when doing these things, why don't you notify me in advance? Prince Xuexing said. Notify you in advance, can I still do this thing? Avalanche complained inwardly. Douluo the favor of a title Douluo, hey, it's all because of you BD, it's gone, it's gone. Xuexing walked out desperately. Although he saved the life of Avalanche, in the future, what will he use to play with his other nephew? In order to give Xuebeng a chance to win Douluo's heart, Xuexing staggered the time in the invitation letter. The other princes and nobles basically came at night, while Douluo and Douluo arrived during the day. Originally, own birthday should be a happy event, but Xuexing was not happy at all. As a prince of a country, many people attended his birthday banquet in the evening, and the cards were so big that even Ning Fengzi of the Kaibao Liulitsong came over. As the nephew of Prince Xuexing, Xueqing he will naturally not miss this birthday banquet. However, as the protagonist of the whole birthday banquet, Prince Xuexing looked glum. He accepted all the gifts from the princes and nobles one by one, and responded with a smile to the guests' kindness. At this time, Xueqing he came up and congratulated, Uncle Emperor, King he congratulates you on your birthday today, and specially prepared a gift for this. After speaking, they took out a picture scroll and unfolded the picture. Inside was a picture scroll of the Lake of Life in the Stardo Forest. After seeing this scroll, Prince Xuexing, who had been very bad in his heart, excitedly pointed to the scroll and said, is it true that the painting sage left behind more than 100 years ago? Exactly. Xueqing he said with a faint smile, this Lake of Life, it is the painting saint who, under the protection of several titled Douluo, set foot in the depths of the Stardo Great Forest, and painted what is difficult for ordinary people. The desperate sight to see. How about, Uncle Emperor, do you like this painting of nephew? Xueqing he smiled. I like it, naturally I like it. Prince Xuexing is in a high position and has no talent for cultivation. Naturally, he likes to develop some of the diseases of the nobles, such as carrying cages and hanging birds, collecting calligraphy and painting and the like. It's just that you are really willing to give me this calligraphy and painting. Xuexing's eyes turned a little pleasing to Xueqing he. Think of his other nephew, Avalanche. At noon, I almost killed myself. If it weren't for the favor of Douluo, I'm afraid that On's birthday would become On's death day. Thinking of this, Xuexing was even more angry. Uncle Emperor, since I took out this picture scroll, naturally there is no reason to take it back. Xueqing he smiled. Well, I like your present, nephew, Xuexing said with a smile. However, Uncle Emperor, in the past, Douluo Sr. was on your birthday, why didn't you see Douluo Sr. today? Xueqing he asked with a smile. Prince Xuexing, who was in a slightly better mood after receiving the original picture scroll, heard this, suddenly moved his face and said with a smile, Nephew, Douluo Sr. came here at noon, but he has something to leave. Oh, that would be a pity, I originally wanted to pay tribute to the demeanor of Poison Douluo. Xueqing he said regretfully. Although the impression of Xueqing has changed, Xuexing still won't give up the chess piece of Xueqing. Naturally, it is impossible for Xueqing to know what happened at noon. The thing that Xueqing drugged and fascinated the lone geese was just a matter of letting go. The scandal, he has dealt with everyone who knew in the mansion, and he also believed that for the sake of his granddaughter's reputation, Douluo would not speak up about this matter. But what Xuexing didn't know was that Xueqing he was also an informer. The reason why he didn't click it was because he considered that Douluo would most likely be on his side in the future, and Douluo was also considered the owner, so naturally he didn't click it. Things. Chapter 58. Heaven Do City Martial Soul Temple Platinum Bishop Salas has always been the main place here, but today, two people came to the headquarters of Martial Soul Hall, one with a white robe and gold rim, embroidered with chrysanthemums, and looks very coquettish. If it weren't for the obvious Adam's apple on his throat, others would be true. Thought he was a woman. Obviously, the title Douluo of his Martial Soul Palace, Chrysanthemum Douluo. On the other side, there was a person wearing a white gold rim and embroidered ghost robe. This person was a good partner of Ju Douluo, Ghost Douluo. I have seen 2 elders. Salas said cautiously. Zhu Yuegwen nodded and asked, Salas, are there any other instructions besides letting us come here under the crown of the Pope? Not for the time being. Salas said, 2, come here from Martial Soul City, all the way down the road, let me entertain the 2 of you. There is no need to entertain. Ghost said. Chrysanthemum Pass, Gai Mei, you 2 have finally arrived. There is no time to delay. Outside the Great Hall, the door opened wide, ghostly, Yuegwen looked outside the door in the main hall opened wide, Bibi Dong, Qian Renxue, and the blood, Shi Long walked in. I have seen the Pope's crown, I have seen His Royal Highness Holy Maiden. Salas, the ghost, and Zhu Yuegwen said. His Royal Highness Holy Maiden refers to Qian Renxue. Martial Soul Hall will have 2 Holy Maidens in the future, one is Holy Maiden, named Qian Renxue, under His Highness Elder, and the other is Martial Soul Hall Bibi Dong. Holy Maiden, named Hulina. The Elder of the Elder Hall is generally called the Young Master Qian Renxue, while the Pope Hall and others are called the Holy Maiden. After the 7 were seated, the ghost asked, I wonder if the Pope is crowned, what can we do if we come here? Find someone, poison Douluo, Bibi Dong said. Poison Douluo. Yuegwen said, do you know where he is under the crown of the Pope? In the Sunset Forest, but the Sunset Forest is very large, I don't know exactly where it is, Bibi Dong said. Sunset in the forest. Gai Mei and Yuegwen frowned. Although the place is not as big as the Star Do Great Forest, it is also very large. Finding a Douluo from the Sunset Forest is no less difficult than finding a needle in a haystack. Shi Long and Elder will cooperate with you. Qian Renxue said, you only need to pay attention to the poison barriers in the Sunset Forest, or the special anomalies where ice and fire coexist. If this is the case, it will be easier to find the place, said Zhu Yuegwen. Finding Douluo is not the point. Finding the place of vision is the most important thing. Bibi Dong said, Douluo is only incidental. If you find Douluo, don't act rashly, and don't be a killer, I want to subdue him. Bibi Dong said, the system exchanged several soul guides for remote communication and gave them to the stabbing blood, Shi Long, Gai Mei, and the 4 elders of Yuegwen, said, this is the soul guide for contact. Once you find this place, you will immediately contact the other 4 people, including me, understand? Yes, under the crown of the Pope. 4 title Douluo elders said. But under the title of the Pope, I know that guy Douluo. He has a stinky and hard temper. I'm afraid he won't easily join our Martial Soul Hall. Zhu Yuegwen said. A few years ago, the Pope was moved to accept Douluo. After being rejected by Douluo, he sent someone to chase Douluo. Zhu Yuegwen was the titled Douluo sent out, so he knew Douluo's bad temper very well. I have my own way to subdue Douluo. Bibi Dong said to Yuegwen and Gai Mei, let you use your spirit power along the way and come at the fastest speed. Your spirit power will definitely be consumed along the way. I will give you half a day to recover well. Tomorrow, we will set off for the Sunset Forest. Now, step back. At night, in the entire Great Hall, there were only 2 people, one Bibi Dong and the other Qian Renxue. By the way, will you go to Binghuolianji with me tomorrow, or stay here and wait for our news? Bibi Dong asked. Qian Renxue said, I would like to see this wonder of the world, the eyes of ice and fire. But, Douluo is also a titled Douluo after all, and you are just a soul king, if you encounter it, Bibi Dong said. The soul saint Qian Renxue in the anime can participate in the battlefield of titled Douluo. That is also the soul saint. Now the soul king Qian Renxue is far from Douluo. Let's play in the process of searching the Sunset Forest and let Douluo get a chance. Thousands of snow on the snow, it can be terrible. Yet. Qian Renxue nodded. She is indeed too weak to help her mother. Seeing Qian Renxue's disappointed expression, Bibi Dong smiled and said, if you encounter him, then turn over and suppress him. Tomorrow, after entering the Sunset Forest, you can just follow my steps. Okay. Qian Renxue's eyes lit up and smiled, but, Mom, who are you going to let Douluo's toxin be relieved? Bibi Dong shook his head and said, I don't need anyone, I have better things to prepare for Douluo. Speaking, Bibi Dong took out a dark green medicine pill from the soul guidance device, and said, this is poison pill. Immediately afterwards, Bibi Dong took out another cultivation technique book and said, this is the poison cultivation technique dedicated to the martial soul of the cultivation poison system. With this cultivation technique, it records the condensation poison pill, Ascension's own soul power cultivation base. Method. Qian Renxue had taken poison skills and looked through a few, and found that this cultivation technique is extremely mysterious. It is simply a cultivation technique specially tailored for Douluo and Douluo mom. Will this gift be too expensive? Qian Renxue asked. Bibi Dong said, he has the value to accept this gift. Although he has a weird temper, he is a man of love and righteousness. Xuexing saved his life, but tied him to the chariot for decades. The cultivation technique I gave was it can solve the martial soul problem of Douluo, which has been passed down from generation to generation. If so, we can conquer Douluo in the Tiandu Empire, then it will be a great help to your plan to seize the power of Tiandu. Qian Renxue nodded. Douluo Neng stood up under the threat of Mother, Yu and Zhugui Elder, and wanted to take the Shrek 7 devils away. This is enough to see that this old man is a very affectionate person. Furthermore, although the relationship between Douluo and Xuexing is broken, he is still the guest of the Heaven Do Empire. If he can be brought to my side, the future avalanche, Xuexing, the two clowns, will not be able to turn the sky. That's it. Qian Renxue said with a smile. Although Douluo is a measurement unit of title Douluo's combat power, almost no one can beat title Douluo by relying on his own strength alone, but he has one advantage, that is, his group offensive ability is very strong. Chapter 59. In the battle at Jialing Pass, Tang San and the reactionary forces directly slaughtered the city. A Douluo killed tens of thousands of Soul Master legions in the Martial Soul Hall. It directly weakened the Soul Master advantage of the Martial Soul Empire, which is impressive. In some respects, his value is stronger than other title Douluo. He is a strategic level unit. Many people who have traveled to the Martial Soul Temple camp often criticized Tang San and Douluo with the incident of Douluo Dujin. Bibi Dong thought this was unnecessary. Because that is a war, the moral bottom line cannot be used to further the war. In a small war, the two sides can still take into account the moral bottom line, humanitarian spirit, etc., but once a life and death war breaks out, all moral bottom lines will be breakthrough. The battle between the Martial Soul Empire and Tiandu Xingluo and other coalition forces was originally a life and death battle between the two sides. Naturally, what means is used, what means is used. Winner takes all, loser for cow. It was the same in Bibi Dong's original world. In World War I and World War II, weapons of mass destruction were used, such as gas warfare and nuclear weapons. How was it established that weapons of mass destruction such as the inability to use mass destruction and nuclear weapons were established? The answer is, you have it, I have it, and everyone has it. Naturally, there is a moral bottom line established by both sides. In World War I, both sides had chemical weapons, etc., then after the war, such weapons were banned because both sides were afraid of it. The same applies to nuclear weapons. If only one party possesses nuclear weapons, then a series of restrictions on nuclear weapons such as nuclear non-proliferation, nuclear disarmament, and nuclear, will not be introduced. In World War II, it was because the lighthouse had a nuclear bomb, but Shenyang did not have it. Therefore, the lighthouse was able to grow mushrooms on the head of Shenyang. Similarly, Donghua did not have biological and chemical weapons, and Shenyang did, so Shenyang would naturally be in Donghua. This place uses this kind of lethal weapon unscrupulously. Tang San and the others asked Douluo to go to Jialing Pass. Bibi Dong wouldn't criticize this matter. Why do you criticize? Isn't this what she will do in the future? A tooth for a tooth. On the Douluo Continent, wanton massacres of civilians are shameless, but in Douluo, there are also purely militarized city forts, such as the White Tiger Xiongguan and Shui Yungan of the Star Do Empire, or the headquarters of the Clear Sky sect. The Kaibao Glazed Glass City of the Kaibao Glazed Glass sect, the sect headquarters of the Blue Electric Overlord Dragon sect, and the Jialing Pass of the Tiandu Empire. If you succeed in conquering Douluo, Bibi Dong won't mind letting Douluo come to these places once the battle begins in the future. If you can't regain it, send Douluo and Dogayan's family to the King of Hell. The next day, after the six had finished their rest, they set off for the Sunset Forest. Yuegwen, Ghosts, Shilong, Stabbing Blood, Bibi Dong, and Qian Renxue, the six entered this forest from different directions in the Sunset Forest. They began to release their own spiritual perception and searched along the way. Title Douluo, even if it is not a title Douluo whose mental energy grows longer, his mental energy perception range is thousands of meters away. Bibi Dong's mental perception range has reached a distance of tens of kilometers. But even so, the sunset forest is still very large, and the mountains are gathering, making it very difficult to find. Even if Bibi Dong launched 5 tidal Douluos including her, it was difficult to find a target. Behind Bibi Dong, the 6-winged purple light wings spread out and flew into the sky. Although the spirit bone skills were gone, the basic flying ability was still there. Even if they don't have the ability to fly, after the Soul Master reaches the Soul Sage, he can basically fly in the air with his soul power, but the attached soul bone can save soul power for flying. On the other side, Qian Renxue also opened the angel wings behind her, followed by flying up, and she searched for her destination from the sky. The sunset over the forest is huge. In the sunset forest, there are eyes of ice and fire. Many traversers are basically looking for this goal according to this goal, and some traversers are even more daring. They come to the eyes of ice and fire alone, and use their own 3-inch tongue to make Douluo surrender. When you really find it, you feel how difficult it is. Even if you know the specific location, you can't ensure that there is no obstruction by the soul beast along the way, and how do you break through the poisonous formation set by Douluo? Even if you find it, how do you identify the fairy grass and how to take it correctly? How should you face a titled Douluo with a weird temper? Of course, the spirit of these traversers is worthy of recognition. The immortal grass with eyes of ice and fire, if you can get it, if you can't get it, then I would rather destroy it than leave it to Tang San and the others. Yes, things are good, but if they are in the hands of the enemy, they are not beautiful. Naturally Bibi Dong will not destroy this place, she is fully capable of occupying this treasure of Feng Shui. The position of the Pope gave Bibi Dong a convenience. It gave her the strength and power to launch a number of tidal Douluos to search for the Eye of Ice and Fire. Even if she finds it, she can quickly deploy her power to guard and control this place. Found it, under the crown of the Pope, I smelled the smell of old poison. A bloody voice came from Bibi Dong's soul guidance device. Stabbing blood is also a titled Douluo playing poison, and it is no worse than Douluo at all, but the scope of the toxin spread is not as wide as Douluo. The poisonous gas of Douluo deeply attracted the stab blood, making the stab blood the first to find the location of this poisonous miasma before the level 98 Super Douluo Bibi Dong. Stand in place and don't move, we will go over and meet right away, Bibi Dong said. Bibi Dong quickly flew over according to the location of the soul guidance device's pricking blood. The blood-piercing figure stood volley in a dark green poisonous gas forest. Behind the poisonous gas forest was a valley area. This was obviously the place Bibi Dong was looking for. After a short while, Bibi Dong brought Qian Renxue and came here soon, and before long, the 3 titled Douluo of Snake Lance, Ghost and Yuegwen also walked in. It seems that this is the hiding place for the old poison. Ghost said. Green scale snake venom. Snake Spear said, I didn't think that the old poison would be hidden in this place. No wonder, we have searched for so long in the Martial Soul Hall and couldn't find Douluo's lair. None of us is an opponent that Douluo can easily defeat. Now, the 5 of us are gathered here. If the old poison sees it and don't know what to think, people are a little expecting the frightened look of the old poison. At that time, Zhu Yuegwen smiled. Chrysanthemum pass, don't speak in that disgusting tone. Stabbing said in disgust. Okay, stop talking nonsense, Douluo and his granddaughter are inside. Let's go in and give their granddaughter a surprise. Bibi Dong said. Chapter 60. After returning from the prince's mansion, Douluo and Douluo's grandson have been staying in the mansion of Binghua Lianjian for cultivation. The events of that day had a great impact on the lone goose. It can only be said that one step is short. If he wakes up late, his innocence will be taken away by an avalanche, and he will use image crystals to threaten himself shamelessly and shamelessly. Lived in his threats all his life. Grandpa, didn't you say that the avalanche was not as simple as I thought it was on the surface? Now, I understand his nature. Douluo said bitterly. Douluo smiled bitterly and said, Goose, to be honest, the old man also misunderstood this pair of uncles and nephews. However, the person Shuebeng is really not as simple as you seem to be on the surface. Douluo said, he is a very city man, you can count as seeing him. The lone geese nodded. Smart. She wanted to understand one thing, Shuebeng, Shuexin came to set up a game to calculate herself, is she just wanting to tie grandpa to their boat? This kid Shuebeng gave me this feeling. After Shueqing he killed his 2 elder brothers a few years ago, he has been tainting himself in this way to make Shueqing he ignore him. Originally, I really liked it. This kid is forbearing enough, but he didn't expect. He is so despicable and shameless, his calculations hit my granddaughter. Douluo said with a murderous look. Grandpa, did you say that Shrek he killed his 2 brothers? Douluo said in disbelief, with his green pupils shrinking slightly. You know, Shrek he is known for being wise outside. She didn't expect that Shrek he was actually a man who killed brothers. Anyway, the old man and Shrek have nothing to do with each other, so let me tell you, Yan Yan, some things are not as simple as what you see on the surface. Douluo then began to talk to Yan. Things inside the Shui family. The images of Shrek he and Shuebeng undoubtedly had an impact on the young heart of Douluo. For a long time, she slowed down and said, Grandpa, in that case, why don't we tell Shrek he about this, and let Shrek he focus on the avalanche? Douluo touched Douluo's hair and said, although my friendship with Shuek is still over, he has saved me after all, and I can't do that. Suddenly, Douluo's expression changed slightly, and he said to Yan, Yan Yan, you are here to stay. Some people who do not know whether they live or die have broken in, and the old man will go to clean up them. He pushed the lone geese into the room and went out. Grandpa. Douluo was immediately confused. The porcupine Douluo inhaled the poison from the poison array into martial soul, and opened a way for the 6 people, and several people swaggered into the eyes of the ice and fire. After passing the poison array, there is a valley in front of you. The area of the valley is actually not very large. There are many strange plants growing in it. A few people can see that it is countless. All kinds of plants compete with each other, most of them exude dazzling fluorescence. Even the layman, the porcupine, the snake spear, and the ghost, when they see these plants, they think they are equivalent to Bufin. The most shocking thing in the valley is the most central lake. The lake is clearly divided into 2 parts. One side is icy white, with pale white gas rising, and the other side is fiery red. The high temperature causes the air to be slightly distorted. Ice white and flaming red, they do not violate each other, always staying on their side, like 2 exquisite and luxurious jade inlaid in the lake. Everything he looked at was unspeakably moving, and the strong shock made the few people who arrived here for the first time a little lost. Is this the eye of the ice and fire? Qian Renxue said in shock. Sure enough, the text narrative is not as shocking as it is to see it in person. Among them, the one who responded most was the flower expert, Douluo. Douluo held his chin in both hands, twisted his body, and made a series of weird movements. His eyes opened greatly. If you describe it with all appropriate images, his eyes are just like the eyes of General Jill in FZ, and his brain is trembling. This, is this true? Zhu Yuegwen stammered. Seeing Yuegwen's appearance, Gai Mei couldn't help turning her head too far, indicating that I didn't know this person's appearance. Chrysanthemum Pass, why are you crazy? Stabbing Blood said. You don't understand, do you know, here, there are mountains and plains, flowers, and grasses, that are all elixir, and even immortal products. Douluo was so excited. He stretched out his white fingers in one direction of the medicine field, ran over, and said, oh, my goodness, this is an 8-petal immortal orchid. The next moment, he was attracted by another flower, and he said in shock, this is the coxcomb phoenix quai. As expected, Douluo was an expert in the field of flowers and plants, and soon, he found several immortals in the original work. Like the octagonal black ice grass, the burning apricot is delicate, looking through the autumn water dew, the Killuo tulip, the daffodil jade muscle bone, and even the legendary king of immortals, the acacia broken heart red was found by the flower expert, Douluo. Thanks to Bibi Dong and Qian Renxue for not speaking, otherwise Chrysanthemum Douluo would have started picking it a long time ago. Although she didn't understand why Jamaiguan was so crazy and obsessed with this flower and plant, Gai Mei caught a glimpse of a blooming chrysanthemum in the medicine field at a glance. He stretched out his hand and said, Chrysanthemum Pass, there is a chrysanthemum that is very similar to your martial soul chrysanthemum. Zhu Yuegwen turned around and caught a glimpse of the strange velvet Tongtian chrysanthemum. He trot for a while and squatted down in front of the strange velvet Tongtian chrysanthemum. His eyes were like a strong ex-criminal looking at the stripped young lady in front of him. The same look. Oh my god, is this really the strange velvet chrysanthemum? On the other hand, he was sorrowful and overjoyed again, sometimes sad and sometimes extremely excited. Oh my god, why, Why should I meet the strange velvet chrysanthemum at this time? If I could find this strange velvet chrysanthemum during the advanced title Douluo, then how good would it be? Chrysanthemum pass, just a flower, why are you crazy? Shilong said. Humph, you don't understand this, Shilong. Zhu Yuegwen stood up and said, this is a fairy product, understand? Xian Pin, what is Xian Pin? Shilong asked puzzledly. Let's put it this way, if I take this fairy product before title Douluo, it will make my martial soul to a higher level. After advanced title Douluo, I won't be stuck at the 95th at this level, even advanced extreme Douluo is promising. Zhu Yuegwen said regretfully. However, even if I am a titled Douluo now, after taking these many immortals, its medicinal power is enough to make me a 96th level titled Douluo, and the remaining medicinal power allows me to reach 97. 98th level realm is possible. Chapter 61. What, Chrysanthemum Pass, are you true? Ghost Douluo asked. Of course it is true, old ghost, Shilong, piercing blood, there are also some fairy grasses in it, which can help you break through your own limits and seek some higher realms. Huohuagwen said, it's a pity, we all missed it. At the age when it is best to consume Xianko, it is really a waste to use Xianko on a few of us old guys. The three titled Douluo, Ghost Douluo, Swordfish Douluo, and Snake Lance Douluo, trembled incomparably. These flowers and plants can actually ascension a person's cultivation base and potential, and can also create a 99th level ultimate Douluo. This is simply unimaginable. In the Douluo Continent, every titled Douluo in this era was a genius when he was young. Their Xiantian spirit power was either 8 or 9. In the eyes of ordinary people, they are mountains that cannot be climbed, but people go to high places. The water flows down, and every titled Douluo's gaze will not look behind him, but will look at a higher position from him. The ordinary Douluo is eager to break through the super Douluo, and the super Douluo is looking at the limit Douluo, and ultimate Douluo's gaze was a god-level emptiness. Title Douluo, with 9 levels, means 9th stage realm. The competition between geniuses started from the limits of title Douluo. Many geniuses spent much more time on title Douluo level ascension than this person, from a soul master breakthrough to title Douluo. Especially after level 95, in the first level first stage days, at the stage of title Douluo, human potential has basically been exhausted, and if there is no adventure, some people have basically stopped. Like the Jugui and the two Douluos, in the martial soul hall, basically level 95 is almost the end of the cultivation. They have been stuck at this level for decades, and the two Douluos with the Agouti and Snake Lance have even worse potential. Whether it can reach the 95th level is still a question. If it hadn't been for Bibi Dong to give them a 100,000-year-old soul bone last time, the two Jugui Douluo would not dare to break through the level of 96 strength. However, today, they were told by the Chrysanthemum Pass that these fairy grasses could help them break through the limits of their talents and advance to the next realm. How could they not be shocked? Of course, they were shocked and shocked. They also knew that Bibi Dong was still around. These fairy grasses were very useful for cultivating the next generation of martial soul palace, not for their old guys. At this time, Bibi Dong spoke, okay, the master of this place is here. As soon as the voice fell, a deep voice came from the canyon above. You who are you who dare to trespass into the old man's medicine field? The chrysanthemum ghost porcupine snake spear Bibi Dong Qian Renxue looked up at the top of the valley, a vague figure standing on the cliff with one hand, staring at them intently. Poison Douluo, a presence at the bottom of the title, can be quite forceful. Zhu Douluo couldn't help showing a playful smile on his face when he saw the familiar figure on the top of the mountain. When the irritable Shilong just wanted to pick up the snake spear and go up to kill the poison Douluo, he was blocked by Bibi Dong. Let the old man put this to the end. Fortunately, Bibi Dong and their 5 spirits have converged, otherwise Douluo is now afraid that he will run away on the spot. You are able to break through the old man's poisonous formation, it is a bit of ability, but unfortunately, you should never come to this medicine field, this is the old man's place, do you dare to touch the things here? Today, let you see what a title Douluo is. Poison Douluo's voice was mixed with the fluctuations of spirit power, and the pressure of title Douluo level pressed toward the several people below the valley. Then, he stepped in the air, step by step, down the valley. Every time a step is taken, a spirit ring falls. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 black. The 9 rings fell, and the aura of title Douluo was revealed. In the end, he fell directly from the sky and came to the eyes of the Binghuo Lianji. Seeing poison Douluo acting so hard, the four-titled Douluo in front of him couldn't help but roll his eyes. This old poison was not good at strength, but he was a young expert who acted like he did. After Douluo fell from a high altitude, he could clearly see the appearance of these people in front of him. A girl with blonde hair and an alluring appearance has a cultivation base of the Soul King's pinnacle level. She is not important, but the other 5 people are important. As the titled Douluo Douluo, he naturally recognizes Yuegwen, ghosts, stabbing blood, and Shilong. These old guys are all of the same generation after all, especially Yuegwen and ghosts, and poison Douluo has grievances with them. In the middle of the person wearing a black cloak, Douluo couldn't see her face clearly and couldn't feel the fluctuation of her spirit power, but these people were faintly dominated by her. Douluo faintly guessed about her identity. Douluo fell from above the valley, and fell among these few people. He originally planned to release the aura of title Douluo, so that this group of unrelenting ants would know what is called under title. They are all ants. As a result, when he saw these people, he suddenly discovered that, except for the junior of the Soul King level, none of them could be beaten by him. The 2 Jugui directly crushed themselves from their spirit power levels, and the 2 Douluo levels of the blood-piercing Shilong were only 1 level higher than their own, but martial soul restrained themselves. Douluo's old face suddenly changed from a look of an expert to a look that had been given by Oli. Qian Renxue couldn't help but smile when she saw this scene. Old poison, you have a good spirit ring, but by coincidence, my 4 elder rings seem to be similar to yours. 4 of you, show him your spirit ring. Bibi Dong said. Chrysanthemum Douluo said playfully, Old poison, your spirit ring is good, let you see my spirit ring. With that said, the same is the yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 and black spirit ring configuration, and the 9 spirit rings fall. On the other side, Ghost Douluo, Pork Dolphin Douluo, Snake Lance Douluo, and the 3 titled Douluo also summoned their respective spirit rings. For the 4 people, the soul ring matching is the best soul ring matching of the Soul Master. The 4 people surrounded Douluo Tuan Tuan. At this time, Douluo's expression was extremely ugly, and the 9 soul rings that were rotating under his feet suddenly didn't fragrant. Bibi Dong stretched out his right hand and wore a ring on his lush white fingers. The black robe on his body turned into a black air and was sucked into the ring. Bibi Dong appeared, and Douluo suddenly felt her heart sinking when he saw her appearance. Contemporary Pope of Martial Soul Palace, Bibi Dong. Although Bibi Dong hadn't summoned a spirit ring, she had been able to sit on the position of the Pope for so many years, and her strength might have long been a title Douluo. For 5 full title Douluo, he just jumped down, and then cast himself into the net. Thinking of what I said in front of these enemies, Douluo suddenly blushed. Chapter 62. At the scene, it was 5 title Douluos who surrounded Douluo Tuan Tuan. The situation was extremely unfavorable for Douluo. None of these 5 title Douluos could beat him. He said with an ugly face, Several people, what are you doing here with the old man? Poison Douluo. Bibi Dong glanced at Douluo up and down, and said, You are too weak. Douluo suddenly became angry. If others said that he was too weak, he would go straight on the spot, but there were 4 title Douluos in front of him. And Bibi Dong's strength made Douluo feel unfathomable. Ice and fire 2 eyes, this treasure of Feng Shui, the Emperor is afraid that you can't hold it, so I came here to help you hold it. Douluo. Is the Eye of Ice and Fire? It turns out that this place is called Eye of Ice and Fire. Douluo said, in other words, are you coming here to grab the old man's medicine field? Genius treasures, the strong live, Douluo, you don't understand this truth, said Zhu Douluo. Okay, I'll give you this place. Douluo retracted his spirit ring, turned and left. He also walked quickly. Although the special environment of the Eyes of the Ice and Fire can help him suppress the toxins in his body, since this place has been found by the Martial Soul Palace, it is no longer under his control. Douluo, you wouldn't just plan to leave like that, Bibi Dong said. Her purpose of coming here, to seize the Eyes of the Ice and Fire, has been achieved, and she has not yet completed the victory of Douluo. She stretched out her palm, and a soul mark emerged on the back of her hand, which was as tender as jade. Qian Renxue looked at Bibi Dong's soul mark. Is this the god-level martial soul that my mother has inherited from the new god? It is the same as the own angel martial soul. It is a personal martial soul. But that's okay, Qian Renxue doesn't want own's mother to inherit the throne of the Rakshasa god. Douluo felt the spirit power fluctuation behind him, turned around to resist, and was immediately covered by the spirit power fluctuation like the vast sea. His figure was hit by Bibi Dong's vast spirit power, and he flew behind him, hitting the cliff with the shape of a person embedded in the cliff. Douluo, as a titled Douluo, he has the confidence to deal with opponents higher than him, but he never thought that one day he would be suppressed by just another person using only his soul power. Just knocked myself into the air. Douluo wanted to mobilize his soul power to resist Bibi Dong's soul power suppression, but found that his soul power was firmly suppressed and couldn't use it. Ghost Douluo sealed his spirit power. Bibi Dong said. Yes, under the crown of the Pope. The ghost said, her figure flashed, and she came to Douluo, reached out a little, and blocked Douluo's spirit power. After Douluo's spirit power was blocked, Bibi Dong withdrew the spirit power suppression. Douluo tremblingly fell from the cliff. After his soul power was sealed, he was just like an ordinary person except for the physique of a titled Douluo. Let it be slaughtered. This feeling that his destiny is not controlled by himself makes Douluo very unhappy, but he has no big fists, and he can only hold the sullen pressure in his heart. What do you want to do? Douluo said angrily, this valley, you want it, the old man has given it to you, what else do you want? Douluo, in addition to my interest in this valley of you, I am also very interested in you. Bibi Dong said and gestured to Qian Renxue. Qian Renxue nodded, with wings on his back. Flying into the sky, I don't know where to go. You have two choices now, one surrenders to me and joins the martial soul hall, and the other is to die. Douluo didn't have time to explore where Qian Renxue went. He is in a very bad situation now, don't forget, the old man is the guest of the Heaven Do Empire. Can you fight the empire as an enemy? The reason why Martial Soul Hall stopped hunting for Douluo was because Douluo accepted the protection of Tiandu Empire. He has joined a camp from a rogue cultivators. If Martial Soul Hall moved Douluo, it would be quite the same. You moved the Heaven Do Empire. The Martial Soul Palace will not do things like volcanic sword Douluo, bone Douluo, and poison Douluo because doing such a thing is equivalent to stirring up the situation in the world. When you are strong, other forces will be afraid of you. The strength of the Martial Soul Hall even surpasses the two empires and the upper three. The two empires have faint signs of union, and the Martial Soul Hall is also afraid of them. The alliance between the two parties has maintained a balance of power over the years. If you move one of the parties, it will lead to a series of chain reactions that will eventually lead to the unity of all parties. This is the support of Douluo Heaven Do Empire, Shui family. What qualifications make me jealous, offend them, I don't care. Bibi Dong said disdainfully. Besides, you are in this wilderness, the world has evaporated, can the Heaven Do Empire think that our Martial Soul Hall did it? Douluo. Then, the old man will tell you clearly, if you want the old man to join the Martial Soul Hall, you just give up, the old man is just outside the dead, jump into the ice and fire pool water, I will not join your Martial Soul Hall, today I fell into in the hands of your Martial Soul Hall, if you want to kill or cut, please. Douluo said hardly. Don't rush to answer, old poison, I will give you a chance to reorganize your language. Bibi Dong said. What on the top of the mountain, Douluo screamed, and Douluo's face changed, and he immediately understood what the Soul King had just done. You dare to move the geese, the old man is a ghost and can't spare you. Douluo's eyes were bloodshot, and he wished to save Douluo right away, but he couldn't do anything because of his soul power. A ghost, like him. Bibi Dong pointed to the ghost and said. Before long, Qian Renxue brought the lone goose over as if carrying a chick, and placed it on the ground. Looking at Grandpa On, Douluo immediately ran to Douluo as if he had found the backbone. Her spirit power was also blocked, but she didn't seem to be injured. Douluo breathed a sigh of relief. Douluo, you are not afraid of death, but have you ever thought about what your granddaughter should do after you leave? Qian Renxue said. You are a titled Douluo. You can protect her to grow up. She is respected wherever she goes, because you are her backing, but if you die, then she will lose everything. Douluo looked tangled. Every grandfather in the Douluo world is a complete granddaughter, Qian Daoliu and Qian Renxue, Qian Bon Douluo and Ning Rongrong, Dragon and Snake Couple and Meng Yi, and so on. The same is true for Douluo, he may not care about his own life, but he values Douluo's more than anything else. At present, the lone geese is his only relative. Isn't he the only relative of the lone geese? He is the only pillar of the lone geese in this world. If he is gone, how will the lone geese face the next life? Chapter 63. Douluo was silent when she heard Qian Renxue's words. Indeed, a caring person can handle it very well. Grandpa, Yan Yan doesn't want you to die. Douluo said weakly. Originally, Douluo's character, after being sealed by Qian Renxue's spirit power, must have Grandpa help him find a place, but when he saw the four title Douluo surrounding him, he was shocked and stupefied. After listening to Qian Renxue's words, Douluo suddenly panicked. Douluo is her only surviving relative. She didn't want to keep loving Grandpa on and died. But he didn't want to make Grandpa feel embarrassed, so he stood up, opened his hands, and said, "You bad guys, if you want to kill my grandfather, kill me first." Seeing this affectionate picture of the grandfather and grandson, Qian Renxue couldn't help thinking that she was in the worship hall, and there was a grandfather on who had loved him since he was a child. "Okay, I'm not interested in killing you this little girl, but, Douluo, I think you know the situation between you and your granddaughter best. Even if we don't kill her, the toxins in her body will kill her sooner or later." "Lost here?" Bibi Dong said. "What are you kidding? I am not poisoned," Douluo said. "Then ask your grandfather. Whenever it rains on a cloudy day, he will have a tingling sensation in his ribs, and it will gradually increase, lasting for more than an hour, and once every noon and midnight. In the middle of the night, about 3 hours later, there will be needle-like tingling on the top of his head and the soles of his feet, and his whole body will be convulsed for at least half an hour." "And do you have a similar situation?" Qian Renxue said. The expressions of Douluo and Douluo changed. Although Douluo was not as serious as Qian Renxue said, but at this time, the body felt like an ant bite. As for Douluo, naturally there is no need to say more, he knows his situation. "Grandpa," said Douluo looking at Douluo goose. Douluo patted the shoulder of the goose and said heartbrokenly, "You are indeed poisonous. At this point, I only hate that the martial soul inherited by our family is the martial soul of the green scale snake. Its toxin can hurt people. I will also hurt myself. If it weren't for this place, I wouldn't be able to accompany you for so many years." After finishing speaking, Douluo looked at Bibi Dong and said, "Okay, under the crown of the Pope, since you all know that Yan Yan and I are a person who will not live long, then why bother to both of us who are about to die? Woolen cloth. Even if you pull me into the martial soul hall, with this ice and fire it will not be able to suppress the toxins in my body for many years. How long can my old bone serve your martial soul hall? Let us go, please let go of Douluo. My Douluo will never be an enemy of your martial soul palace in this life." Douluo said. In his words, there is no longer the stinky temper that is not afraid of death like before, and it is full of decadence and helplessness. Although you have the snake venom in your body, it is not without detoxification in this world. If you are just a dying person, we naturally don't need you, but what if we can remove the toxin from your body? Bibi Dong said. Douluo's eyes suddenly lit up and said, "Can you solve our grandson's green scale snake venom?" "Yes, I can do it, and I can help you with the jade scale snake family, and turn the poison on your body into poison power on your behalf." Bibi Dong said, "However, the price is that you have to join the martial soul hall." After Douluo listened, even if he was yearning for freedom and didn't like the feeling of being restrained, he would inevitably be moved. He is not afraid of his own death, but the people he cares about are the lone geese. He doesn't want his son's tragedy to happen to his own granddaughter. "Well, if you can help our grandfather and grandson get rid of the toxins from our bodies, I will sell you this old bone of Douluo to Martial Soul Hall." Douluo said. "A wise choice." Bibi Dong said to the ghost, "Unlock Douluo's soul power restrictions." "Yes, under the crown of the Pope." Ghost Douluo quickly released the spirit power restrictions from Douluo. After Douluo felt the return of his spirit power, he was immediately more comfortable. Although he still could not beat the title Douluo in front of him, he was better than unarmed. Not much. The characteristics of the martial soul of the jade scale snake are used well. It is a booster. If you don't use it, it will happen like you, hurting others and yourself. Bibi Dong took out an emerald green poison from the soul guidance device. Dan threw it to Douluo and said, "Swallow it." After Douluo got the poison pill, he was not afraid that Bibi Dong would cheat on the poison pill, and went straight down. When he swallowed his throat, he felt the poison pill transform into a breath of fresh air and entered On's body. Dan Qi gathers at the On Danshan position and recondenses into a poison pill. This pill cherishes one's own life and becomes the core of soul power. Okay, sit down and guide the toxins in your body to gather on the poison pill. Bibi Dong said. Douluo understood, meditated on the spot. This poison pill that runs the heart poison, absorbs the toxins from the body's limbs and hundreds of skeletons, and gathers it on the poison pill. The toxin, as soon as it enters the poison pellet, it transforms into soul power and releases it, and oneself can transform the soul power into the venom of the green scale snake. After the toxin had a place to return, the condition on Douluo's face and body also eased. In this closed-door training, he closed for 7 days and 7 nights. On the 3rd day, his spirit power was released, directly breaking through to the 92nd level. But he didn't wake up, but continued closed-door training until the 7th day, when his soul power was released, he broke through again. Douluo directly broke through to 93rd level. At this moment, Zhugui Snake Spear Pork Dolphin, for title Douluo couldn't help but just a lemon. It took them several years, even decades, from the 91st level breakthrough to the 92 and 93rd level. Now Douluo is doing well, and it has broken through 2 levels in 7 days. You don't need to be too envious. Douluo's current situation is actually to release all his previous accumulation. Bibi Dong said, after he became titled Douluo, he has been suppressing his own legacy so that there is no cultivation. At this level, he stepped in place, but the role of poison pill was to help him convert the toxin produced by martial soul into soul power to help him break through. It is equivalent to giving back all his accumulation over the past few years to him. Bibi Dong said. The porcupine, snake spear and chrysanthemum ghost for Douluo nodded and continued to look at the old poison. After breaking through the 93rd level, the old poison tried to use its own legacy to continue to go further, but obviously, it was not enough. Even if he had accumulated toxins for decades, title Douluo's waiting for you is not what you want ascension to do. Can easily ascension. Seeing that Douluo was not mentioning it, the other 4 old guys felt a little better. Chapter 64. Feeling that the green scale snake venom that had troubled him for decades has been eliminated, Douluo also breathed a sigh of relief. In the future, I finally don't have to be bothered by this green scale snake venom, but the ascension of my own strength makes Douluo more confident. Thanks to the Pope for giving the poison pill to solve the old man's jade scale snake venom. Douluo said gratefully, in the future, the old man, this old bone, will be handed over to you to send. Bibi Dong also inherited the love of Douluo. She said, your strength ascension stems from the accumulation of toxins in your body, but this has not yet reached the top. This poison pill is enough to make your strength cultivation to 95th level. This realm, how to break through to the 96th level depends on your understanding of martial soul and your personal experience. 95th level? Enough. Douluo finished eyes reveal and looked at Yu Xiaogang fiercely. Why, we will all serve as ministers in Douluo from now on, what are you doing looking at others like this? Yu Xiaogang said displeasedly. I agreed to join the martial soul hall, but at the Chrysanthemum Pass, the account was not played back then. The old man must ask you to get it back. Douluo said. Yu Xiaogang's complexion twitched, and then he said, hee, Douluo, have you grown in strength so you floated? Your poison is only useful for people who have a title, even if your cultivation reaches the 95th level, you have no chance to come back at this place. Humph, let's wait and see when the time comes. After Douluo finished speaking, he looked at Bibi Dong and said, I implore the Pope to grant a poison pill to detox my granddaughter's poison. Bibi Dong said, Douluo is taking poison pills now, which is not the best solution. She is not the same as you. You are dying. It is impossible to condense the poison pill by yourself, but she is fully capable of cultivating poison cultivation technique and condensing her own poison pill. What is the difference between the poison pill that you have condensed and the poison pill you gave? Douluo asked. Douluo, the poison pill I gave you has an upper limit after all, enough for you to cultivation to 95th level, but if you are above 95, you should consider your personal circumstances, and Douluo the wild goose is different. She is still young enough to be able to cultivation poison skills and condense her own natal poison pill. With her own natal poison pill, the soul master can go further. Your current upper limit is level 95 Super Douluo. But I can assure you that after Douluo's cultivation, the poison skills I give are at least level 98 or above Super Douluo. Do you really want her to take poison pills? Super Douluo. Everyone except Qian Renxue and Bibi Dong was surprised by this potential. Douluo can't even imagine. Although Douluo's martial soul also evolved from the Jade Scale Snake, Douluo can also evolve to the point of the Snake King in the future. When it comes to talent, in fact, Douluo is not as good as Douluo. A title Douluo, when they were young, was a genius. Xiantian spirit power was at least 8th level. What is Douluo? A rogue cultivator who cultivated to the level of title Douluo. If it were not for his own toxin, his level would not be inferior to the Tianjiao of his contemporaries. And Douluo is protected by Douluo, but Douluo does not believe that Douluo will have the opportunity to break through title Douluo in the future. Douluo's Zionation's spirit power is only 7th level. Now, Bibi Dong told Douluo that she has the potential to become a 98th level Super Douluo. If Bibi Dong was not a pope, Douluo would have thought she was talking about it. I'm just a guaranteed estimate. If you count the immortal products on this medicine field, even the limit can be expected, Douluo. Bibi Dong smiled. Douluo and Douluo were immediately dumbfounded. Douluo can inherit Douluo's legacy and become a new generation of poison Douluo. Douluo has already burned a high incense. He dare not think about Super Douluo, let alone Extreme Douluo. Under the title of the Pope, you are sure that you are not joking with the old man, said Douluo. Old poison, this is your problem. I sit on the treasure mountain and don't know how to unearth it. Zhu Yuegwen said, I don't know the power of poison, but I can tell you clearly that the eyes of the ice and fire can ascension you. Granddaughter is a fairy product with talent and potential, and your granddaughter is different from your old man now, she is just right to take these fairy products. I dare say that as long as she takes the fairy products here, her future achievements will not be lower than your old poison. Zhu Yuegwen said. There is still potential for ascension. Looking at Douluo like a soil bun, Zhu Yuegwen smiled, you think the potential ascension is over, some fairy products can even stimulate the evolution of their own martial soul. From this point of view, I really do not know how to discover Basehan Mountain. Douluo asked, Chrysanthemum Pass, can you point out the fairy grass that can evolve my granddaughter Douluo? Zhu Yuegwen used the kind of nasty and personal uncompensated voice, oh, little poison, just now, who said to find someone to settle the account? Just now, who called the Chrysanthemum Pass? Douluo. Douluo looked at On's granddaughter even though he was cautious, but looked at On's eyes, filled with the words wanting. For the future of his granddaughter, Douluo could only hold back the idea in his heart that he wanted to stubbornly shut down the chrysanthemum. Yuegwen elder, if you can give me the fairy grass, the old man will forget the previous things, and if there is anything that needs help, the old man will definitely help. Zhu Yuegwen said, small poison, people really want to help you, but it's not me who is holding this medicine field for you. It's under the crown of the Pope. What kind of fairy medicinal herbs need to be used? The consent of the Pope is all that matters. Yu Douluo exploded and wasted feelings with the old man, and reconciled with you in a low voice. As a result, you still can't be the master and return the old man's feelings. Yuegwen elder, go get the immortal product. Bibi Dong said. Yes, under the crown of the Pope. Zhu Yuegwen, who had just looked like a coquettish BD, immediately recovered his dignity, turned around and went to the medicine field to find a fairy product suitable for the Douluo. Bibi Dong took out the method of poison art cultivation from the soul guidance device, and said, this cultivation technique can help you, even the condensed poison pill of martial soul descendants of the Jade Scale Snake, to solve the problems attached to martial soul. But Douluo, have you heard a word? The law does not spread to 6 ears. The law doesn't teach Lu Er. Douluo is not a fool, and he quickly figured out the meaning of this sentence. Anyway, the two of them have been tied to the chariot of the martial soul palace. Gone will never return, it is better to find a position in the martial soul hall and open up a family for the Douluo family. Yan Yan, don't hurry up to apprentice your teacher. Chapter 65. Douluo reacted and hurriedly walked to Bibi Dong and bowed, and said, Douluo has seen the master. Okay, you can just call my teacher in the future. As he said, Bibi Dong took out a stored soul guidance device, put the poison power into the soul guidance device, and handed it to Douluo, saying, these are what I will give to you. Your apprenticeship is done, cultivation, don't slack off. Thank you, teacher. Douluo excitedly took the necklace and said. On the other side, Zhu Douluo was injured and dragged a golden melon about the size of 2 fists with his soul power. This golden melon had appeared, and suddenly there was a thick flavor in the air, and at the same time a strange fragrance filled the air. Open Douluo, Douluo, Snake Lance Douluo looked at Zhu Douluo, and were immediately attracted by this gourd, or that their martial soul was deeply attracted by this gourd. Chrysanthemum Pass, what is this? Douluo asked. Zhu Yuegwen said, Old poison, this is the fairy product that I found for your granddaughter for your jade scale snake line. It is called Earth Dragon Gourd. Earth Dragon Gourd has a certain Earth Dragon bloodline, which is the best in the same blood of the Dragon clan. It fits together. Although the martial soul jade snake that you inherited is a snake, the snake is also a dragon. If you can get an Earth Dragon Gourd, I believe it will have a lot of ascension for your granddaughter's spirit power. Of course, if you are lucky, the Douluo has acquired the Earth Dragon bloodline in the Earth Dragon Gourd, which may lead to the evolution of martial soul. Zhu Yuegwen said. Hiss, no wonder, why the old man looks at this melon and always feels that he is deeply attracted to the old man, said Douluo. By the way, when you guarded this piece of land, didn't you think about taking it? Zhu Douluo said with a weird face. Douluo shook his head and said, I don't know these strange flowers and weeds, so I don't dare to take them indiscriminately. I can only say that fortunately you didn't take it indiscriminately, otherwise, the whole valley will not find a fairy product suitable for your granddaughter. The value of your granddaughter's consumption is higher than the value of your old poison. Zhu Yuegwen said with contempt. Douluo smirked, Douluo received so many benefits of Martial Soul Hall, it is no longer a simple thank you 2 words to be able to thank, the only thing I can do is to sell his life for Martial Soul Hall. Zhu Yuegwen handed the ground dragon gourd to Douluo, and said, just use the melon you usually eat. You can eat whatever you want. Douluo took the golden melon in Zhu Pass and said gratefully, thank you senior. You should not thank me, you should thank your teacher. Also, call me Zhu Elder. Of course, you can call me Grandpa Zhu. Zhu Yuegwen smiled. Grandpa Zhu. Douluo said in a low voice. Douluo stopped doing it immediately. He said, Chrysanthemum Pass, the grievances between the two of us were cleared up in the past, but don't grab this granddaughter with me. Old poison, this is your fault. Yan is willing to recognize me as a grandfather, you still have to take care of it. Is it possible that you want to be a ghost master? Said Zhu Yuegwen. Douluo. Zhu Yuegwen said to the Douluo, after eating, the seeds of the melon are left behind. This place is a bit peculiar, and it can grow again. The lone geese nodded, then found a clean place, sat down cross-legged, and ate the ground dragon gourd clean, then closed his eyes, started meditation and absorbed the soul power. Chrysanthemum Pass, does this dragon and golden melon really have such a great effect? Seeing the golden light flashing on Douluo's body, Douluo asked with some curiosity. Don't worry, the effect will only be better than you think. Zhu Yuegwen smiled, Douluo is now a 37th level soul sovereign. Don't worry, after taking this gourd, I promise that she will have no side effects. The direct access to the soul sect realm, after the hunting of the spirit ring, the medicinal effect will continue to exert force, and it will be promoted to about 1 or 2 levels. In the next few years, her cultivation base will only be faster, coupled with the poisonous power bestowed by the Pope, and she is fully capable of breaking through the Soul King realm before the Soul Master competition. Zhu Yuegwen said. By the way, Douluo. Bibi Dong said, does Douluo have any suitors in Huangdu Academy? Yes, one is Yu Xiaogang of Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus sect, and the other is the Avalanche Prince of the royal family, but Avalanche is no longer possible. Douluo said, as for Yu Xiaogang, the Pope can rest assured, I will let keep away from him, the lone geese. It's best to be like this. Bibi Dong said, thinking of Bibi Dong's dark history, she said, I don't want the apprentice I cultivated to become a member of the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus family in the end. As for taking the Douluo to fish Yu Xiaogang to fish the entire Blue Power Tyrant Dragon sect, I'm sorry, Bibi Dong Zhen never thought about it. Douluo's woman is desperate for love, don't let the time come, and instead of catching the entire Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus sect, she will lose the little genius she has cultivated. Douluo, you belong to the Douluo family. Only this granddaughter is left. If you want to pass on the family martial soul, you can't find someone who is too strong. If Douluo and Yu Xiaogang are together, in the future whether the descendants of the two of them are surnamed Douluo or Yu, whether the inherited martial soul is the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus or the Jade Scale Snake, you have to think clearly. Zhu Douluo reminded. I see. In the past, Douluo hated this martial soul. It doesn't matter whether it is inherited or not, but now the biggest problem of martial soul has been solved, and Douluo's mind has naturally begun to figure out how to develop its own family. If own granddaughter Douluo and Yu Tianheng really come together, then the green scale snake martial soul may really be extinct, unless you are always strong and doing it. Therefore, based on the interests of his own family, Douluo now does not want Douluo and Yu Tianheng to come together. Douluo, you are here to guard the Douluos. Bibi Dong said. With that said, Bibi Dong took Chrysanthemum Ghost and Aguda Snake Lance to the side of the Ice Fire Medicine Field to prepare to distribute these herbs. Chrysanthemum Douluo, if you take Qirong Tong Dianju, how long will it take to reach the 6th level 90? Bibi Dong asked. As soon as Ju Douluo heard about it, my martial soul is the strange velvet chrysanthemum. It is the most suitable fairy product for me. If I take this fairy product, I can immediately break through the 96th level and participate in the medicinal power. It's not a big problem for me to break through 98th level in the next few years. Very well, this wonderful velvet chrysanthemum belongs to you. Bibi Dong said. Zhuyuguan Yuxi excitedly said, thank you for being crowned pope. Let's also find elders such as ghosts, thorns, and snake spears, Bibi Dong said. Next, what Ju Douluo found for Ghost and May was a Halloween ghost flower, a fairy grass with a dark attribute. As for the lancet spear, he chose 2 herbs with a fairy product or less. Chapter 66. I'll leave for a while, you wait for me. Qian Renxue did not wait for Bibi Dong, so she left. Seeing Qian Renxue's leaving figure, Bibi Dong didn't go deep into where Qian Renxue went, but contacted the system of the spiritual world and asked, System, what kind of fairy grass is suitable for me and share? Regarding the choice of immortal grass for herself and Qian Renxue, Bibi Dong Shen was cautious and chose to ask the system instead of the flower expert Ju Douluo. If martial soul hadn't changed, there is a fairy grass that is most suitable for Bibi Dong, called Snowy Swan Kiss. But now Bibi Dong's martial soul has been replaced, and he is no longer playing poison. This fairy product has no effect on Bibi Dong. As for Qian Renxue, she was also not sure about what kind of fairy product was suitable for her. I'm sorry, the higher the quality of the host martial soul, the lower the benefits that can be gained by relying on the genius treasure. There is no fairy grass for you and Qian Renxue. Of course, the suitability described by this system is a perfect fit. Grass. The system said, if you want to take common fairy grass, you can also choose some wild and healthy fairy grass. Well then, let me ask you whether the octagonal black ice grass and the burning apricot are suitable for Qian Renxue. Bibi Dong asked. These 2 fairy products are indeed good, but they are not suitable for her. The system said, because of martial soul, she has the ultimate fire. Can ordinary flames hurt her? Therefore, the effect of fire immunity is basically tasteless. The ultimate fire is sufficient to counter the ultimate ice. Naturally, there is no need to avoid the ice. Moreover, the seraphim also has the powerful energy brought by the ultimate light and the ultimate sacred purification power, which is more resistant to poisons. There is not so much demand for physique. What these 2 immortal grasses can bring to her is the physique, the ascension of innate talent, but the magnitude of ascension is not very large. The system said, these 2 immortal grasses are better for other people than for her. Has a greater effect. Okay, although Qian Renxue can't use it, it can also be used by Hulina. Well then, tell me, Douluo Continent, is there any fairy grass suitable for her to take? Bibi Dong asked. Light heaven grass, when the god of angels suppressed evil, gathered light on herself, and established herself as a god, she rose to the place of gods. Because of the rich light and the breath of sacred, a fairy grass was born. That fairy grass is the most suitable fairy grass for seraphim martial soul. It can greatly improve the purification power of ascension seraphim realm, the light energy attributes, and improve the physique of seraphim martial soul powerhouses. Where is that grass? Bibi Dong asked. In the martial soul temple back then, he was subdued by an old ancestor of the 1000 family. Because the angels had the lord of the gods, he went to heaven as a priest. Bibi Dong, in other words, this grass. Yes, it's extinct, the system said. Bibi Dong. Then what are you talking about? Bibi Dong flipped through the white smoke. There is no in Douluo world, but it doesn't mean there is no in the system mall of this system, host, discount. The system said. Bibi Dong clicked on the system interface and quickly found the bright heaven grass recommended by the system. This is a fairy, but Bibi Dong took a look at the following price, 20,000 points. Looking at the points in my hand, I stopped cooking immediately. It takes me 3 times in the system space to buy this fairy grass. You don't want to make me secret realm more times. The host, in view of the shyness of the pocket, the system temporarily opens a selling function. The host can sell valuable things to the system mall in exchange for points, the system said. Soul bones, soul rings that have not dissipated, and some genius earth treasures can all be sold to exchange points. The system said, for example, the genius earth treasures in front of you, if they are all sold, don't say it is. 1 bright heaven grass, even 10 can afford it. I listen to your voice, how come I feel something is wrong, and say, have you set me up? Bibi Dong said. No, how could the system entrap the host, the system said. Bibi Dong chuckled, hee, I have seen a lot of systems that deceive people, how do I know the value of fairy grass for sale? Choose what you want to sell, choose appraisal, and the system will give the value of the appraised thing, the system said. Then I will try. Bibi Dong came to Kira Tulip and used the skill of identification. The system shows, Douluo Tulip, worth 8,000 points. Bibi Dong points to the system mall, the value of Douluo tulips sold in the mall, 16,000 you profiteer, the system said, host, love to sell or not, remind me that bright paradise grass is not a resident commodity. After passing this village, the store will be gone. In case it is refreshed next time, this thing will be wiped out. Yes, you may have to wait a long time to refresh it. Bibi Dong. Okay, I'll sell it. No matter how valuable the herbs in the garden are, it is no better than an immortal herb suitable for Qian Renxue. With the mentality of her daughter being rich, Bibi Dong searched for some worthless herbs to sell. Bibi Dong is reluctant to sell the immortal herbs, so he can only sell some non-immortal herbs, such as the Millennium Lingzi mushrooms, the Millennium Ginseng, through the accumulation of less and more, finally raised more than 20,000 points. Bought the bright heaven grass. At this time, Qian Renxue, who had left, also walked back, dragging the 3 fairy products with the spirit power of a seraph to Bibi Dong's face. Bibi Dong fixed his eyes and saw that the immortal products Qian Renxue held in her hand were the 3 immortal products in the original work that were taken down by Tang San. The octagonal black ice grass, the burning apricot is delicate, and it is also expected to wear autumn water and dew. Mom, these are the 3 immortals I found for you. You should also know the effects. Qian Renxue explained, I am a martial soul seraph with the ultimate fire attribute and refinement. Ability, these 3 immortals do not have a great increase to me. I don't need immunity to ice and fire, but mother, if you get immunity to ice and fire, it will increase your strength greatly. Bibi Dong suddenly understood Qian Renxue's intentions, and was immediately moved. If Bibi Dong had no system, she would definitely choose the best immortal product here, that is, the immortal product of the protagonist's treatment, and leave it to Qian Renxue, but Qian Renxue first took the 3 immortal grass and gave it to him. Own. Did you forget, I am also a martial soul? These fairy products are also not very useful to me. Bibi Dong smiled. Mom, anyway, there is no reason to take back the things I sent out. Do you want to absorb it? Anyway, I won't absorb it. Qian Renxue said with a twist of his mouth, pretending to be displeased. Well, I accept your kindness. Bibi Dong smiled and took the 3 fairy grasses from Qian Renxue, and said, however, Shuer, I just found a fairy grass for you here just now. Don't refuse my kindness. Speaking of Bibi Dong, he took out the bright paradise grass he had found before. Chapter 67. Bright heaven grass, blooming with holy brilliance, just like earth dragon gourd attracts lone geese, bright heaven grass deeply attracts Qian Renxue's martial soul seraph. This is not a mortal thing, this is the fairy grass most suitable for seraphs. Qian Renxue, as the descendant of the angel family, naturally knows the benefits of this grass. In addition to the ancestor of a god of angels, Qianjia has a priest in the realm of gods. This priest took the bright heaven grass and became a god. Although only a priest, it is also a big and small one. God. The bright heaven grass only appeared at the moment when the angel god was born, which means that the martial soul palace was the only one. After taking it, it was gone. This. How is this possible? Even if the eyes of the 2 instruments of ice and fire are magical, it is impossible to give birth to such an immortal product. Qian Renxue said in astonishment. But the reality is like this, but apart from the 2 eyes of ice and fire, nothing can explain the origin of this fairy grass. Qian Renxue believed that even if On's mother had the ability to reach the sky, she would not be able to change into such a fairy product, because the conditions for its appearance were too harsh. However, bright heaven grass is a Bufan's fairy product. Don't Tang San know why this fairy product is not recorded in that book? According to Tang Sanyan's character of plucking hair, he probably won't let go of any fairy. But soon, Qian Renxue was relieved. This fairy was good, but the limitation was that it was useful for sacred and martial soul of the light type, especially seraphim. Even if it fell into Tang San's hands, no one would use it. There is only Xuezhang. That book records the outline of the future, but it does not represent all. It seems that if my mother is not reborn, Martial Soul Palace will miss a lot of things. Qian Renxue said with emotion. Bibi Dong accepted Qian Renxue's 3 fairy grasses, and Qian Renxue would naturally not reject Bibi Dong's bright heaven grass. But Qian Renxue, who took the immortal product, didn't directly absorb it, but looked at Bibi Dong with eyesight, and the clever eyes seemed to say, I have to watch you absorb it before I absorb it. Bibi Dong smiled bitterly and said, these 3 immortal grasses are more useful to me. I will absorb this plant. There are 2 immortal grasses left, mother, are you planning to leave it to Hulina? Qian Renxue said dissatisfied. Bibi Dong didn't deny it after being put through, but just nodded. I have found the fairy grass suitable for her. Qian Renxue took out the Narcissus jade muscle bone from the soul guide and said. This is the fairy product I gave you. I don't allow you to transfer it to others. If you don't absorb these 2 fairy products, well, I will never absorb the bright heaven grass. Qian Renxue said angrily. Bibi Dong. She glanced at the 2 fairy products in the system mall that were still on sale. She glanced at Qian Renxue, who swears not to reach her goal. She sighed and said, well, Schwerer, I will absorb it, and you will absorb it too. Var. For Schwerer and Naer, it's nothing more than multiple copies of the liver. I hope the effect of ice and fire immunity can be brought into the copy space. First absorb these 2 fairy grasses. Qian Renxue stared at Bibi Dong's octagonal black ice grass and Lai Huo seeing delicately. Under Qian Renxue's gaze, Bibi Dong swallowed 2 celestial grasses, and then jumped into the eyes of the 2 instruments of ice and fire according to the method of the original book to refine the body of ice and fire. But she didn't act as embarrassed as Tang San. After all, the 98th level title Douluo was not comparable to Tang San's soul veteran. The feeling of cold and hot is easy for Bibi Dong to accept, but the ascension brought to Bibi Dong is not great. She had a hunch that the effect of the medicine would only be able to make her one step further away from the level 99 ultimate Douluo. And Qian Renxue did not immediately absorb the bright heaven grass, but always accompanied Bibi Dong, watching her refine the 2 fairy products step by step. In the early morning of the next day, Bibi Dong breathed a sigh of suffocation, feeling his own changes. Indeed, Ascension had gained a part of his own strength. Although the immunity to ice and fire was good, it was actually not that great for own Ascension. It's a bit wasteful to use these 2 fairy products on myself. She glanced at Qian Renxue and said angrily, okay, I have absorbed these 2 fairy products, then should you absorb the fairy products I gave you? Qian Renxue smiled and said, Mom, did you forget that there is still a fairy that you haven't absorbed? Looking through the autumn water. Okay, you still have to take an inch. Bibi Dong looked at Qian Renxue without being hypocritical, and said, I can absorb it, but Schwerer, I also want to watch you absorb the fairy product I gave you. A word is definite. Qian Renxue smiled. With that, Qian Renxue and Bibi Dong took out 2 immortals and swallowed them face to face. Bibi Dong squatted down to the lotus position meditation, absorbing the ability of medicinal herbs. Suddenly she felt a soft back, and when she felt her mind, Qian Renxue turned back to refine the fairy products. Bibi Dong did not stop either, and the 2 closed their eyes meditation, absorbing the power of the fairy grass. On the other hand, several Douluos have their own gains. Zhu and Ghost May successfully broke the limit of their own talents and became the 96th level Super Douluo, and the Blood Snake Spear also successfully broke through the 90s. 3rd level. Seeing Dugubo was envied for a while. Fortunately, I had been sitting in base hand for so many years. I didn't even know that these fairy grasses had such abilities, which made people take advantage of it for nothing. But Dugugu's performance also gave him a little comfort. The Soul Sect, who is less than 20 years old, is even more hopeful that he will break through the Soul King at the beginning of the National Soul Master Competition. As for Douluo's spirit ring, Douluo could help her solve it himself. As a title Douluo, Douluo would naturally not find her soul ring very often. Although the martial soul of Douluo did not evolve a dragon like Ju Douluo, it was not bad, and it evolved directly into a jade scale snake. Among the top martial soul of the jade scale snake, there are the jade scale snake emperor and the jade scale snake queen, but the jade scale snake's line is poisonous, and the venom of the snake queen is much stronger than that of the snake emperor. Bibi Dong's poisonous power. The title is hopeful, Super Douluo is hopeful. Humph, you old things, the old man can't beat you, but in the future, the old man's precious granddaughter will abuse you to death. Douluo thought bitterly. Several old guys who had absorbed the fairy grass joined together, and the tunnel near the core of the ice and fire was filled with a holy six-winged light. The seraphim rose up, spreading its wings, and sacred's light shone on everything around him. This is... Douluo was shocked. Isn't this the god-level martial soul, the seraph martial soul? Looking at the seraphim, Qian Renxue, the owner of martial soul, is meditating with Bibi Dong with her back. She is. Douluo realized that Bufan of the Soul King. Chapter 68. She is the young master, the Pope's daughter. Snake Lance Douluo said. The Pope's daughter. Douluo was perplexed. In this world, I have never heard of Bibi Dong having a daughter, but the previous Pope had one, and she was also the Seraphim martial soul. But didn't she die early? The insiders like Blood Snake Lance didn't explain anything to Douluo, but watched and waited quietly. Before long, Bibi Dong's immortal grass has been absorbed, and looking through the autumn water dew brings her an eye that can see through everything. At the same time, it also brings her mental energies ascension, which is a good auxiliary ability. However, the vision brought by Wang Chuan autumn water dew was not as good as Qian Renxue's absorption of the vision brought by bright heaven grass. At this moment, the air in the eyes of the ice and fire was full of light spots, and the holy and proud seraphim volleyed above her and Qian Renxue. Countless spots of light flowed around the seraph. As time passed, more and more spots of light gathered together, turning the surroundings into a shining ocean. The energy of light can be soft or destructive. Countless points of light are building an existence called domain. In this area, in addition to the energy of light, there is also the fiery heat of fire and the purification of sacred. This is the realm that Seraphim brings. Being in realm, accidentally tainted with the energy in realm, even Bibi Dong, a 98th level Super Douluo, will have some purification of his spirit power. With the passage of time, the vast ocean of light condensed, and finally entered the Seraphim, condensed. Looking at Qian Renxue again, although she was stuck at level 60 without a spirit ring, the current she was completely different from the previous one. Qian Renxue opened her eyes and felt her own changes, very happy. What changes does this bright heaven grass bring to you? Bibi Dong asked with concern. My angel realm, the purification effect is greatly ascension, in my realm, the Soul King level powerhouse, it does not take a minute, the soul power will be purified. Qian Renxue confidently said, in addition to the fairy grass ascension, my angel realm, it also gives me a certain affinity for light and sacred elements. My soul skills are basically light and sacred, so when I use these soul skills, I can mobilize the surrounding elements to use them. To reduce the consumption of soul power. Angel realm purifies, and at the same time I am ascending to my own attribute affinity. With this increase and decrease, even if it is soul sage, contra, I have the power to fight. If you add a 100,000-year spirit ring, do you have the confidence to defeat a contra? Bibi Dong asked. Even if you add an ordinary spirit ring, Qian Renxue said firmly, with my god-level martial soul, I have the confidence to compete against the strong of the contra level. Okay, it's share. Bibi Dong smiled. It seems that I underestimated Qian Renxue. When she was in Soul Sage, she was able to fight titled Douluo such as Douluo. Now there are so many bonuses, even if martial soul's real body has not yet been obtained, after becoming the Soul Emperor, packing up a contra is more than enough. After all, realm, even title Douluo doesn't necessarily own it. After the medicinal materials are absorbed, everyone has gained each other, especially the two titled Douluo of Jugui, the ability to enter the 96 level Super Douluo, which means that they have the strength to worship in the Hall of Worship, plus the powerful martial soul fusion technology, realm with two poles still, its position in the martial soul hall will further get ascension. Congratulations, young Master Angel realm has evolved. Snake spear and stabbing blood sincerely blessed Qian Renxue's strength of ascension. Qian Renxue nodded and said, although so, I will have to rely on the help of Uncle Shilong and Uncle Stabbing in the future. On the other side, Bibi Dong came to Douluo, took out an elder order and gave it to Douluo and said, from now on, you will be the elder of my papal palace and serve me directly. Yes, under the crown of the Pope. Douluo said after taking elderling. Bibi Dong said playfully, Douluo elder, were you curious about who Cher is just now? She is my daughter. You may not know her identity, but you do know her other first-stage identity. Please also ask the Pope to expressly, ask Douluo Shuer, show it to elder to have a look. Bibi Dong said. Qian Renxue came to Douluo and said, Douluo Senior, you may not know me now, but you do know my other first-stage status. With that, Qian Renxue's head spirit bone skill was activated, and a holy light showered down, covering all of her figure below her head with holy light. The next moment, the holy light dissipated. Qian Renxue is still the beauty of the world, but under her body, there is no graceful figure, and instead is the body of a young man, wearing a gorgeous noble robe. She took out the human skin mask from the soul guidance device and put it on her face, and tied her golden hair. Behind her, the seraphim martial soul was also changing. From the martial soul of a seraph into a white hooper swan. In less than a minute, the person in front of him changed from a big beauty to a smiling and hexy, the royal prince Shueking He. Throughout the process, Douluo and Douguyan's eyes were round, from the initial doubt to shock. You are Shueking He. Douguyan said in shock. Shueking He smiled slightly and said, yes, little sister, Dougugus, Shueking He is me, and I am Shueking He. Douluo, let me stroke it, let me stroke it. When did you replace Shueking He? Douluo said in shock. Almost 9 years ago. Qian Renxue said. Qian Renxue spent 2 years approaching Shueking He, understanding his habits and styles, etc., and then killed Shueking He and replaced Shueking He without any obstacles. 9 years ago. Douluo was lost in thought. More than 10 years ago, the Pope's daughter died young, and since then she has no longer been taken seriously. The world thinks that the seraphim line is gone, but there is still a seraphim's descendant hidden in the martial soul hall. Then, 7 years ago, and after 7 years ago, Swaluoquan and Sui Haizang passed away one after another. If you are Shueking He, what about the real prince? Douluo asked. The real Shueking He was removed by me, but unfortunately it has been turned into a corpse and powder, otherwise the grass on the head of the grave would have grown more than a few meters tall. Qian Renxue said with the most gentle expression. Horrible things. Hiss, it seems that your highness martial soul's chest is really big. Even if Douluo was a titled Douluo, he felt his scalp tingling. Stealing the country, I really dare to think about it. But I have to say that Qian Renxue's disguise is so good, even Kai Bao Liulai sect did not realize her true identity. Zhu Yueguan on the side said, Old Poison, you still treat you as an outsider, have you forgotten what your identity is now, Pope Hall Elder? That's right, that's right. Douluo said with a sigh of relief. He is no longer a member of the Heaven Do Empire, but the elder of the Martial Soul Palace. Chapter 69. However, thinking about it now, it really makes people's spine chill. The son of Emperor Shueyat, who is the most important son of the Emperor of Heaven Do, Shueking He, turned out to be a man from Martial Soul Hall. During the whole process, no one noticed that even Prince Shuexing suspected that he had only killed 2 brothers, and did not doubt Shueking He's identity. Thinking of this, Douluo's heart suddenly sighed with relief. If he is still entangled with Prince Shuexing as before, I am afraid that I don't know how he died. Now he is the elder of the Martial Soul Hall. Bibi Dong tells him the identity of Shueking He, is it? Under the Pope's crown, there is also young master. Douluo said, you tell me such a big secret, you don't want me to cooperate with young master to seek a country. Yes. Although Shuer is protected by 2 titled Douluo, Thornblood, and Shilong, in Heaven Do City, after all, the 2 of them belong to the title Douluo of the Martial Soul Palace. A title Douluo on the bright side came to respond. Douluo said, I'm sorry, under the crown of the Pope, I am afraid that I will not be able to do this, because I have already broken up with Prince Shuexing. What happened that caused you to have a fight with my uncle Emperor? Qian Renxue asked knowingly. It's true that in order to tie me to his boat, Shuexing used dirty means to let the avalanche take away my granddaughter's innocence, so as to coerce my granddaughter to combine with the avalanche, and then let me and Shui Prince Star's relationship is even closer. After the incident was revealed, I left. Douluo said, my position as Prince Swexing was given by Prince Xuexing. I will come back soon. Because this is a benefit given by Prince Xuexing. Xueqing he, Qian Renxue, said with a pity, I never thought that the emperor's uncle and the emperor's brother were such people. What, your uncle, your brother, you pretend, you can pretend, you really look like, Douluo and Douluo couldn't help rolling their eyes. The ghost said, old poison, since you are planning to retreat from the position of the Heaven Do Kei Qing, you will soon not be the position of the Heaven Do Kei Qing, then you still threaten us with the position of the Heaven Do Kei Qing. Douluo smiled bitterly, and said, I can't help the old man. I want to live everybody. You 5 title Douluo are aggressive, what can I do? But Douluo turned his words and said to Qian Renxue seriously, young master, your disguise is indeed very good these years, and you have quietly eliminated the 2 princes. There is no evidence to prove the 2 princes. The death of the prince is related to you, but the lack of evidence does not mean that no one doubts you. Oh, what do you say? Xueqing he pretended to be suspicious. Douluo said, Prince Xuexing has long suspected that you killed the 2 princes in order to fight for the throne. He has been secretly searching for your evidence for several years. You said that my emperor suspected me, there are such things unexpectedly. Xueqing he said shocked. Besides, you have to be careful with your little brother. Now that you have decided to join the Martial Soul Hall, Douluo has nothing to say, and directly tells what he knows. Compared to Qian Renxue's fake shock, the blood snake spear that also participated in the Heaven Do mission was really shocked. Young master, stabbing blood and wiping his neck, said, this Swexing and Xuebeng are destined to be hidden dangers. Do you want us to go back and discuss it again? Qian Renxue waved her hand to stop talking. In fact, this matter does not need to be told by Douluo. Qian Renxue herself knows that there is a problem with this avalanche, but she does not point it out. Because, the truth of the matter from the mouth of Douluo made Qian Renxue wary of Prince Avalanche and Snow Star, and even led to the success of Hushan Dogong. This will have a great connection with Douluo, who has already departed from the Heaven Do imperial family and fell to the Martial Soul Palace. And this is his vote certificate. The old man has finished what he should have said. If you can, please leave Xuexing with his life. After all, he was also my lifesaver. Douluo said. You can retire from the position of the guest of the Heaven Do imperial family, and then Xueqing he will draw you in. Of course, the relationship between you should not be too close. It will only startle the snake. After all, you know that Xuexing and Xuebeng are too many people. It's up. Bibi Dong said. Douluo, the eyes of ice and fire, you will guard this place next. People without my permission will come in and kill you without mercy. Bibi Dong said, throwing a soul guidance device to Douluo, and said, if you get into title Douluo forcibly, then contact me directly with this thing. Douluo patted his chest and said, don't worry, under the crown of the Pope, the poisonous formation, and people below title Douluo who are forced to break through, will not die or be disabled. Well, those who can break into your poison formation, please treat it with caution. Bibi Dong said, after that, I will successively dispatch title Douluo powerhouses to guard this piece of ice and fire. In Bibi Dong's eyes, the treasure of Feng Shui in the eyes of the ice and fire is only Douluo to guard this time. This is far from enough, but she doesn't have more titled Douluo in her hands. Even if there is, it is a titled Douluo with a certain identity. If the titled Douluo of the Martial Soul Palace is sent to guard with Douluo and let outsiders know, the status of Douluo rogue cultivators will not work well. Bibi Dong said to Qian Renxue, it's been a while since you left the prince's mansion. Let's go back to deal with some things with Douluo. After half a month, I will look for you and take you to the Star Do Great Forest to hunt it down. Head Soul Beast. Well, I'll go back and explain to Sui first, it can't be too long. Qian Renxue said. I wasted several days in the eyes of the Sunset Forest, ice and fire, and several days before going to the Star Do Great Forest. After a long time, it is inevitable that Emperor Shuiye will be worried. There is no rush to catch that 100,000-year soul beast at this time, besides, the great drama of Douluo hasn't started yet. In the next few days, Douluo, stabbing blood, she long left the eyes of the ice and fire and went to the Tiandu Empire, Tiandu City. Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo stayed guarded by the eyes of the 2 eyes of ice and fire. On the other side, Bibi Dong spent a few days instructing the Duga Goose to practice poisoning skills. According to Bibi Dong's guidance, the lone goose uses the power of snake venom to transform and refine it into soul power. The cultivation base has been thriving, and in just a few days, there has been a 44th level cultivation base. You know, at this time, Yu Tianheng, known as the double star of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex, is no more than 38th level cultivation base at this time, and the Duga Goose cultivation base has reached the level of the golden generation of Martial Soul Palace. The harvest in the past few days has made the Duga Goose feel airy. Thinking of the gourd that allowed her martial soul to get ascension, Duga Goose seemed to think of something, and asked Bibi Dong, "Teacher, I don't know if the gourd I ate last time is still there. A friend of mine is very suitable for this kind of fairy." Chapter 70. Seeing Duga Yan looking expectant, Bibi Dong's indeo was broken, and the bad thing she least wanted to see had happened. The ground dragon gourd has a great ascension effect on the dragon species martial soul. What is the most famous sub-dragon species in the world? Martial soul. Blue electric Tyrannosaurus. Bibi Dong dared to say that if Tang San gave Yu Xiaogang the earth dragon gourd instead of the 9th grade Zizi, it would be guaranteed that Yu Xiaogang would not use the iron triangle, and he would be the super martial soul golden sacred dragon. And what kind of friends does Duga Goose have with martial soul? Yu Xiaogang, one of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus double stars, a talented kid. The time now is not far from the time Tang San went to Shrek Academy. Soon after, the Shrek 7 Devils will have a battle with the Emperor Do team in the Soto Fighting Soul Arena. At that time, Duga Goose and Yu Tianheng had established a relationship between boy and girl friends. Time is not far away. Bibi Dong is not sure exactly where the relationship between Duga Goose and Yu Tianheng has gone, but looking at it now, the apprentice he just received seems to have fallen in love with Yu Tianheng. Even for Yu Tianheng, he asked her for immortal products? Bibi Dong narrowed his eyes and asked, then Yan Yan told the teacher, "Which friend do you want to give the earth dragon gourd to?" Yu Tianheng, he is my friend. Martial soul is a blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. After his martial soul served the earth dragon gourd, the effect must be better than me. Duga Yan said excitedly. Duga Goose still doesn't know what the relationship between the martial soul palace and the blue lightning tyrant dragon sect is. Bibi Dong's eyes hide a ray of danger, and she said to Duga Goose, "Goose Goose, earth dragon gourd has been taken by you. There is no earth dragon gourd here anymore. If there is one, it will have to wait for 10 years. To grow new fairy products. Not to mention that the earth dragon gourd is gone, even if there is, Bibi Dong would not be able to give it to Yu Tianheng. A blue electric Tyrannosaurus martial soul, subduing the earth dragon gourd, what can it evolve into? It's an indisputable fact that the blue lightning overlord dragon sect is the upper 3 sects, and the upper 3 have the same energy. It is an indisputable fact to fight martial soul together. Take the resources of my martial soul hall to cultivate an enemy. This kind of thing, Bibi Dong, I will never do it." Now, Duga Goose was a little disappointed. She asked, "Then teacher, what kind of fairy grass is suitable for the blue electric Tyrannosaurus martial soul?" "Before answering your question, I want to ask you a question." Bibi Dong asked, "Do you like your friend, Yu Tianheng?" Duga Yan's face blushed slightly and said, "Teacher, I'm not sure about this. He has been pursuing me, but I haven't given him a clear answer." "In other words, you are still an ordinary friend right now," Bibi Dong said. Duga Yan nodded quietly. "But you already have the idea of wanting to stay with him for a long time, I'm right?" Bibi Dong said. Right now, Duga Goose's face became even more red as a cooked shrimp. She thought that Bibi Dong would approve of her relationship and encourage her to respond to Yu Tianheng, but the reality is not like this. Bibi Dong then asked, "Assuming that you and Yu Tianheng become lovers, one day, your boyfriend's power and your teacher, your grandfather's power stand in a hostile position, who will you help?" Bibi Dong taught the Duga Goose poison art to solve her own toxin problem, and even gave her the earth dragon gourd. With her potential, even if she doesn't become a god in the future, extreme Douluo will have it. But suddenly I was told that Duga Goose fell in love with Yu Tianheng, and soon after they were a pair of lovers. Bibi Dong suddenly had a feeling of understanding Chihiroji. Although Chihiroji's last thing was a bit overdone. But imagine from the standpoint of the Pope of the Martial Soul Temple, your own holy maiden, because of love, was overwhelmed by the waste of a blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. What will your mood be like? Yes, Bibi Dong is in this mood now. Bring the stick, this pair of mandarin ducks, I'm settled. Why, how could this happen? Dugagoose hadn't considered these issues before, but the point raised by Bibi Dong also reflected it. Grandpa is the elder of the Martial Soul Hall, Bibi Dong is the Pope of the Martial Soul Hall, and Yu Tianheng is the descendant of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. In the future, Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus will be an enemy of Martial Soul Palace? Can't the two sides reconcile? Duguyan asked. Bibi Dong shook his head and said, no. Either the Martial Soul Hall weakened and became a force similar to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, and a new powerful force emerged. Either the Martial Soul Hall is so powerful that it far surpasses the strength of other forces combined, and the two sides may not be hostile. The Martial Soul Hall is now a giant, but it has not surpassed the three empires. The two empires are too many. If the other side truly unites, there is also a chance to fight the Martial Soul Hall. This balance has not yet been broken. The surrounding forces have a vigilant attitude towards this. Basically all that can be attracted are attracted by the Martial Soul Hall. They are a series of small forces such as the next four sects. But the real big powers, the upper three sects, and the two empires, will not easily succumb to the Martial Soul Palace. They are all hard bones, and destruction or surrender is their future. It's impossible for the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect to be drawn to the Martial Soul Hall. This is a force destined to be an enemy. As the Pope of the Martial Soul Hall, Bibi Dong doesn't say when to erase this sect from the map. Maybe it's an enemy. Even if the Earth Dragon Gourd is in the Martial Soul suitable for Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus, it is impossible to feed the dog to you. In the following time, Bibi Dong and Dugagoose named the relationship between the mainland forces and distinguished their interests. Dugu family is just a rogue cultivators. Do you think that Yu Tianheng is pursuing you just for true love? Bibi Dong sneered and said, because you have a titled Douluo grandfather, do you understand what I mean? Duguyan nodded. She is very smart, but she doesn't like to think too much about some things. Many things can be understood at a glance, especially after experiencing an avalanche. The reason why Xuebeng was addicted to herself and wanted to cook mature rice with raw rice was to drag Grandpa on his boat, and Yu Tianheng pursued her. Didn't he have the purpose of attracting a wild titled Douluo for the family? You have to remember, you are my disciple, Dugagoose. From the moment you obeyed the Dalong Jingua immortal product and the cultivation poison skill, you and Yu Tianheng are no longer in the same world. You are now at level 44. His soul sect, he is only a 39th level soul sovereign, and in the future, the gap will only increase. In the future, your achievement will be the ultimate Douluo, and you can even pursue the illusory god position, and the upper limit of Yushanheng, it's just an ordinary title Douluo. Bibi Dong said, you have a chance to get away now. There is no need to hang yourself on this tree and make it difficult for your future self. Okay, I have already said what I should say. Next, you should think about it for yourself. Chapter 71. The relationship between Dugagoose and Yu Tianheng has not reached the point where it will last until death, and she is just stunned. Grandpa has joined the Martial Soul Hall. She has worshipped the Pope of Martial Soul Hall as her teacher. She is already a member of the Martial Soul Hall. The relationship between Martial Soul Hall and the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect is destined to be an enemy in the future. In her heart, Grandpa and this person who just met had taught her poison skills, and the master who solved her martial soul problem was obviously larger than Yu Tianheng's. The little girl cried all night in the own room. The next day she cried and swollen. She came to Bibi Dong and said hoarsely, "Teacher, I have already thought about it, I will keep a distance from Yu Tianheng." Bibi Dong nodded and said, "You will be grateful for your choice in the future. If Dugagoose really must go with Yu Tianheng, and even Bibi Dong and Dugabo are useless to stop it, then Bibi Dong will not stop the Dugagoose, but she will not let it go because of the Dugagoose in the future. For the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, when the lone geese is caught on both ends and angry, that is also her own choice. In the soul guidance device, I have put some medicinal materials you need, as well as some guidance experience. Your grandfather's identity as elder in the Martial Soul Hall cannot be revealed, so you continue to study at Emperor Do Academy. I will let Ghost Douluo send you out of the Sunset Forest." Duguyan nodded, and, accompanied by Ghost Douluo, said goodbye to Bibi Dong and left the Sunset Forest. But Bibi Dong stayed in the eyes of the ice and fire. After solving the Dugagoose matter, Bibi Dong directly contacted the system. "System, open the second floor of the Demon God Proving Ground." "Yes, host," the system said. Next, Bibi Dong's goal was the 100,000-year soul beast in the Star Do Great Forest, so he had to consider a threat, that was Jun Xiang. Bibi Dong didn't expect that if he killed 200,000-year-old spirit beasts, he would attract fierce beasts to guard the Douluo Great Forest. Perhaps if you move other spirit beasts by yourself, the fierce beast may not bother to care about it, but if you move the 100,000-year-old spirit beast, these fierce beasts in the Douluo Great Forest will not sit idly by. If she has a spirit ring and spirit ability, she is not afraid of Jun Xiang, but now she has only one spirit ability, not a spirit ability of a force attack type, and Bibi Dong can only run against a big fierce beast that is more than 400,000 years old. Weigh this option. In front of Bibi Dong, a page appeared, and the page displayed the second floor of the Demon Proving Ground introduction. This is a space full of monsters. Monsters are constantly being produced here at all times. Monsters and monsters are different from each other. There are natural selections and survival of the fittest. The weak are prey to the strong is the law of survival here, and you will become a small monster in this world full of monsters. The only way to become stronger is to continue to kill monsters, ascension himself, and finally come to the apex of the monsters. The final lord of each layer of the demon god proving ground is a spirit beast of more than 100,000 years, and each layer increases by 100,000 years. The second layer of monsters will reach 200,000 years, at the level of fierce beasts. Trial rewards: add 2 spirit ring years to 10,000, a genius summoning card, a titled Douluo summoning card, obtain the claws of the external soul bone star, obtain the second spirit ability, and open the magic mirror trial field. Second, the permanent entrance on the first floor opens the second stage secret realm. Silent underground street. Penalty for failure of the trial: none. Death in the secret realm means direct death. The rewards of the second layer are really rich. Bibi Dong swallowed her throat, apparently attracted by the rewards of the second level. If the second level clears the level, she directly possesses 2 spirit abilities, one with a spirit bone attached, and the second one. Soul skills. 2 10,000 years and spirit ring can make own spirit ring match ascending to the degree of 5 black and 4 red. If the spirit skills are good, it would be worthwhile to face Mr. Xiang. Host, don't be too happy too early. The more generous the reward means the more difficult it is to gain it, the system said. I see. Bibi Dong said, so is there any information that can be revealed on the second floor, just like how to attack the nightmare? You won't have any hints, right? The system said, host, the second floor of the magic mirror trial ground. At present, what I can disclose to you is the information of the boss, and all you want is the information of the boss. With that said, the page in front of Bibi Dong changed a bit and refreshed with new content. The second boss of the demon proving ground, Queen of Sorrow Dragon Intelligence, 200,000 years old fierce beast. Brief introduction: the giant dragon of the earth dragon family, life is in the ancient dragon community. From the moment of birth, her appearance is extremely ugly in the aesthetics of the dragon family, and the skin is covered with lumps, so she is in the tribe. The dragons were ostracized, excluded, and bullied. From the moment she was born, she suffered various discriminations. Her mother gave her eggshells to other young dragons, refused to provide her with shelter, and let other dragons. The dragon bullied her and tortured her. Finally one day, she broke out. She slaughtered her own population and turned the original dragon tribe into a place for dragon burial. The space on the second floor of the demon god's proving ground, the Queen of Sadness, dragon ruler, and her habitat is the former earth dragon tribe, the current dragon burial place. That's it. Bibi Dong was stunned, she could see a weakness in it. The dragon version of the bullying incident, and then she broke out and destroyed the own group. She was strong, but Bibi Dong didn't see any weakness from here. I have given you the information. There will be no more hints in this system about this level. Come on, host, the system said. The next moment, in front of Bibi Dong, a door opened, and Bibi Dong entered the door. After entering the gate, Bibi Dong didn't set foot in a world with luxuriant aquatic plants and beautiful mountains and rivers like the first floor. What I came to was a slightly barren area, and I could vaguely see it, and on the barren ground, I could see numerous bones, and there was a trace of rancidity in the air. Here, the smell of the air made Bibi Dong feel sick, and in the distance, a few half-decayed soul beast corpses could be seen. Please, it's just a trial of the magic mirror, do you really want to be so real? Enduring the feeling of vomiting in her heart, Bibi Dong tried her best to adapt to the environment here. She explored step by step, looking for some weak prey to hunt to turn it into her own experience value. However, Bibi Dong did not find his prey, and a soul beast came to Bibi Dong. Before Bibi Dong was in the state, a 900-year-old lizard-shaped beast came out of the stone forest, staring at Bibi Dong as if looking at a delicious meal. Bibi Dong. Chapter 72. Bibi Dong's martial soul can counterattack across tiers. 10-year soul beast's strength is no problem to beat a 100-year soul beast, but it also depends on what soul beast it is. The lizard in front of him is a 900-year-old soul beast, and it can sense the existence of a dragon vein from him. This is a dragon-like soul beast. The late-stage soul beast is nothing, but it was really lucky to meet this soul beast in the first place. As if feeling that Bibi Dong was not a threat, the 900-year soul beast was not eager to kill Bibi Dong so quickly, but like a cat teasing a mouse, it approached Bibi Dong step by step, its tongue kept unceasing. His long tongue came out from the smelly mouth. Recently, he almost touched the tip of Bibi Dong's nose. Bibi Dong's footsteps retreated again and again, and she didn't think that after entering the game, she would encounter such a tricky existence from the beginning. The lizard soul beast became a little impatient, and it rushed towards Bibi Dong, opening its blood plate and biting Bibi Dong to death. Could it be that she is a dignified pope of martial soul palace, and will finally die in the hands of a 100-year-old soul beast? Of course Bibi Dong wouldn't give up so easily, no matter if it was his predecessor who had been killed all the way from the killing capital, or he had gone through several trials of life and death, he would not sit still like this. Bibi Dong raised his wand to block the lizard spirit beast's culling, but the oncoming power also made Bibi Dong's body fly upside down like a cannonball and hit the stone forest heavily. The lizard soul beast turned to Sen, looked at Bibi Dong with cold-blooded eyes, turned around and slaughtered her again. The rich combat experience allowed Bibi Dong to avoid this attack, and it directly smashed a stone forest and destroyed it. The lizard soul beast struggled out of the rubble, and continued to crawl towards Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong's brain was running fast. She had no spirit skills and had the spirit power of the soul beast for 10 years. How could it resist this? How about a century-old soul beast? Wait, there is no spirit ability, no, why is the nightmare witch's spirit ability still there? Although the strength of the title Douluo fell to the weakest level, the nightmare witch's spirit ability power has also declined, but it is better than nothing. The lizard stretched out its claws and grabbed it towards Bibi Dong. Obviously, the continuous evasion of the prey made it a little unpleasant. It planned to grab it first and devour it. At this time, Bibi Dong took advantage of the situation to use the nightmare spirit ability. Although this spirit ability didn't make the lizard fall asleep, it also made it trance for a while. Bibi Dong's wand turned into a sword, not avoiding it, but came to its abdomen with a barrel of sword towards its soft abdomen, and immediately escaped after a successful blow. The pain relieved the lizard from its trance, the bleeding wound on its body made it extremely angry, and it slowed towards Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong was trying to escape, using his spirit ability to impact its spirit, and then used the sword to break through its abdomen to kill it. From the stone forest, a giant python came out, bit the lizard in one bite, and then came a death coil. Bibi Dong's scalp was numb during the whole process. This is a 1,000-year soul beast, a soul beast of more than 2,000 years. If you still have a stroke of strength in the face of the spirit beast for more than 900 years, then you will lie flat when you encounter this spirit beast for more than 2,000 years. Fortunately, the python's cold gaze just glanced at Bibi Dong, and then began to devour its prey. Bibi Dong took advantage of the giant python's feeding stage and left here. In the next few days, Bibi Dong fully understood the danger of this second world. It is also the survival of the natural selection of the fittest, but the world on the first level is completely incomparable to the world on the second level. In the first level world, although it is also dangerous and life-threatening, at least, your birthplace is surrounded by a hot land with a suitable climate. The powerful soul beasts are only 100 years old, and most of them are 10-year level soul beasts. You provide a stable growth space. With the quality of Bibi Dong's level martial soul, there is no problem in killing a 100-year soul beast beyond the age limit. In this world, the soul beast is extremely dangerous. When she was exploring a canyon, she even encountered a sleeping 10,000-year soul beast. Several times, Bibi Dong faced a life and death crisis, and several times escaped from the dead. The killing experience of the killing city and the clearance experience of the first level of the magic mirror made Bibi Dong quickly adapt to this cruel world. Fortunately, soul beasts and soul beasts would fight each other, and sometimes, the battle between soul beasts gave Bibi Dong the opportunity to miss the test again and again. Every time she hunted a soul beast to earn experience points, she would call herself lucky. Every time ascension own level, she feels that she is not enough. When she becomes a 100-year soul beast, she will face the threat of a 1,000-year-old soul beast at any time. She underestimated the difficulty of this secret realm space. The system said that the more generous the reward, the greater the difficulty of the secret realm. However, she never regretted entering this secret realm. For people who have already died once, Bibi Dong doesn't seem to be so afraid of death. Rather than fearing death, he didn't dare to open the secret realm, and he lived in Douluo Continent in a muddle-headed manner, until Tang San came to take his own life. Bibi Dong preferred this kind of trial of life and death, and ascension his strength through continuous killing. Trial of battle. Over time, she fell in love with this trial. Besides, I have concerns in Douluo Continent, whether it is Shui or Hulina, for them Bibi Dong will have to go through this difficulty. Heaven Do Imperial City Emperor Sui sat on the throne and looked at Douluo below, and said, I don't know what Douluo will do here. If you have any requirements, please let me know. My Heaven Do Empire will help you and will help you. Douluo said, Your Majesty, the old man has requested to resign from the position of guest of the Heaven Do Imperial family. Why is this? Shui Ye frowned and said. There is no reason, the relationship between the old man and Prince Shuixing is gone, so naturally he won't accept any favors from him. This Tiando Keqing was given by him, and the old man will naturally return it to him. Douluo said. Shui Ye looked at Prince Shuixing's side. Although Prince Shuixing and Douluo did not say anything about it, others with discerning eyes could see that there was a problem with the relationship between Prince Shuixing and Douluo. Otherwise, how could Douluo be able to send Prince Shuixing to the residence these years? The gifts and so on have been returned to Prince Shuixing one by one these days. What happened? Shui Ye asked. Your Majesty. Prince Shuixing said awkwardly, the minister and Douluo had a little misunderstanding. Hey, a small misunderstanding. Douluo said with a cold snort, Shuixing, you and Xuebeng conspired to count my granddaughter. This matter, the old man has seen with his own eyes, is this a small misunderstanding? I have nothing to do with you, Your Majesty, I don't want the position of Heaven Do Keqing given by Shuixing. Although Sui wondered what happened to the two of them, own little brother and his son conspired with the granddaughter of Douluo, what is going on? When he first wanted to ask, Shuixing he stood up and said, Douluo Senior, wait a minute, what the hell is it that you just said? Ask you uncle and little brother, what did they do? They know their own minds, but I hope you don't tell me about things that are related to my granddaughter's reputation, otherwise, others are afraid of your Tiandu royal family, and the old man is not afraid. Douluo said. Chapter 73. Douluo left, and Emperor Shui Ye looked at Shuixing Xuebeng with a sullen expression, and said angrily, Say, what happened? Shuixing said, Brother Emperor, can you hold back for a while? Emperor Shui Ye waved his hand and said, You all go down. After the left and right guards all retreated, there were 4 people left in the entire Great Hall, Sui, Shuixing, Suibao, and Sueqine, the 4 Shui family royals. Shui Ye said, Now you should talk about it. Brother Emperor. Shuixing looked at Shuiqinghe and hesitated. Qinghe is my son and your nephew, he is not an outsider. Shui Ye was a little dissatisfied. Okay. Shuixing had to inform Emperor Shui Ye one by one of the things that had happened in his mansion before. Absurd, absurd, absurd. Shui Ye pointed to Xuebeng angrily and said, You rebellious son, do you know how much trouble you almost caused for my Heaven Do Empire? Douluo, title Douluo, wherever he went, there was an existence to be regarded as a guest of honor. He was originally a guest of the Heaven Do Empire, but the Heaven Do Empire was too late to hold it. As a result, because of the behavior of the avalanche, he almost became an enemy. Can this Sui not be angry? After being scolded by Shui Ye pointing his nose for a long time, Xuebeng knew that he was in trouble, so he had to choose not to say a word. At this time, Shuiqinghe said, Father, the top priority should be to think about how to save Douluo. Shui Ye nodded and said, You are right, we can't let go of a title Douluo level combat power. Douluo offended the people in the Martial Soul Palace, and his hometown is in our Heaven Do city. This relationship is still easy to redeem. Father, I am willing to go to convince Douluo to continue to work for my Heaven Do royal family. Shuiqinghe said. Shui Ye said, Douluo has a weird temper, are you sure to convince him? Shuiqinghe said, Yes, Douluo is a rogue cultivators. He offended the Martial Soul Hall. In the past, I was protected by the Heavenly Do Imperial family. Martial Soul Hall would not move him, but now he is not ours anymore. Considering the threat of Martial Soul Palace, so we show enough sincerity. I have a great probability of persuading Douluo to come back. Shuya nodded and said, okay, you can do this, as long as he is willing to change his mind to the title, fief, and whatever he wants, I can give it to him. Although enfeefment is not a good thing, Shuya would also be willing if he could use the land to award the Tiandu Empire in exchange for a titled Douluo. After all, the Martial Soul Hall is strong these years, the Soul Master Legion is nearly 10,000, and there are about 10 titled Douluos. The pressure on the Heaven Do Empire is huge. Sui doesn't want the Douluo, who originally belonged to the royal family, to be cut off from the royal family in this way. Shui Qinghe said, Father, I will do it now. With that, Shui Qinghe retreated. Shui Xing looked at the leaving figure of Shui Qinghe, hoping that he could redeem Douluo, but he didn't want it. The hope is because the Tiandu Empire is in a bad situation. There is no titled Douluo power, and there is an urgent need for the fighting power of Douluo. I don't want it because if Sui Qinghe recovers Douluo, in the future, inside Tiandu, Douluo will be general. It was someone Shui Qinghe could win over, but Douluo knew too much. If it is someone else, he can deal with it. Douluo, after all, is a titled Douluo. Before long, Shui Qinghe returned, and also brought back good news for the Heaven Do Empire. Father, Douluo has agreed to reconsider joining our Heaven Do Empire. He hopes to obtain the right to own a piece of land around Sunset City, including the Sunset Forest, Shui Qinghe said. Shui Ye smiled and said, okay, then we will seal the city of Sunset and the area around Sunset City to him according to the meaning of Douluo, and canonize him as the Duke of Sunset of my Heaven Do Empire, hereditary replacement. Emperor Shui Yi's move was generous, and he was a duke with a fief. If you have a fief, you have financial power, the power to conduct internal affairs, and the power to recruit troops. It can be said that Douluo sits on a country that belongs to an empire in name, but it has great independence. This shows Shui Yi's determination to win over Douluo. However, a title Douluo is indeed worthy of the great Shui Yi's wooing, and Douluo, unlike other title Douluos, can kill thousands of troops alone. Horses are a strategic level force for any power. After the canonization was issued, Douluo also accepted the canonization. In the Tiandu Empire, the Emperor Sui personally canonized him and assigned the territory of the Sunset Forest to Douluo. At the same time, in order to further win over Douluo, Shui the Emperor Ye even canonized Douluo as a national teacher. Although Douluo likes freedom and does not like to be the national teacher, but after Shui Qinghe's eyes signaled and Sui great guarantees great freedom, Douluo took the position of Tiandu national teacher. Watching Douluo go and return and rejoin the Heaven Do Empire, Emperor Shui Ye was happy. In his opinion, a fief, a national teacher in exchange for the support of a titled Douluo, these are all worthwhile, and Douluo only has a granddaughter, own son Shuebeng has no chance, but he still has an excellent Prince Shui Qinghe. If in the future, if the son of the owner Shui Qinghe and the granddaughter of Douluo are brought together, the relationship will be even more pro-to-be, and the son born is also a descendant of the Shui family. The next Emperor Tiandu will not be surprised. It would be him, the divided territory, after a round, returned to the hands of the Heaven Do Empire imperial family. Shui Qinghe and Douluo were also happy. After all, the Sunset Forest is the territory of the Tiandu Empire, and now it belongs to the Duke of the Sunset, Douluo. There is no reason to spit out what you eat. Furthermore, in the Tiandu Empire, the head of Douluo's national teacher it is a key to breaking the political balance and will bring great convenience to Sui Qinghe's seizure of power in the future. Of course, Qian Renxue didn't know that the father of the role she played had already planned to match herself and Douluo secretly in her heart. Among these people, only Shui Shuebeng's face was hard to conceal the bitter expression. The position of Heaven Do Qing abandoned by Douluo was given by Sui Xing, and the regained position of Duke of Sunset was given by the great emperor. When something like that happened, Douluo was destined to miss his faction. The emperor, the prince, and among the three factions of him and Shuebeng, he would not support himself. Even if he stood on the side of the old king, Shui Ye would die in the future. After that, it was impossible for Douluo to support Shuebeng as the emperor of Heaven Do. My nephew is really a good example of a bad hand. Shuebeng felt very scared in his heart. He was very afraid of the Douluo fair and Sui Qinghe walking together. When the time comes, he will pretend to be a dude and let his brother know, and he will act on himself. Chapter 74. After spending several months in the secret realm on the second floor, escaping from the dead one after another, Bibi Dong has solved the initial survival problem, but as her strength grows, she becomes the witch of the end. The more I can detect the problem. The air was filled with an aura that made the soul beast irritable. The stronger the soul beast was, the more it was affected. The soul beasts in this space were extremely cruel in temperament. Even the docile soul beasts in this world are one a fierce beast. Including Bibi Dong, was also unknowingly affected by it. If she sinks in this way, she will eventually become the killing machine here just like the soul beast in this world. However, the whole world was filled with this depressing atmosphere, and Bibi Dong had not been able to find a solution. Finally one day, as if a person found an oasis in the desert, a forest appeared on the barren land full of the smell of rotten corpses. The sky here is depressed, no sunlight can be seen, but there is a bright starry sky above the forest. It's like a fairyland. Bibi Dong quickened his pace and entered the forest. Inside the forest, that breath no longer exists, bathed in starlight, and Bibi Dong was gradually suppressed by the influence of this breath before. This starlight forest gave Bibi Dong a place to extinguish the breath. However, Bibi Dong was not immersed in this hot land. Using this place as a base, she kept going out to hunt soul beasts, Ascension herself. When affected by the restlessness, he immediately returned to the starlight forest. However, with the passage of time, the barren dragon burial land is constantly devouring this starlight forest, and the starlight that can calm the restlessness is also constantly declining. Staying in the starlight forest is not a long-term solution. The worst problem is that when Bibi Dong's strength reached the 99,999 cultivation base, the situation encountered on the first level reappeared. Her level was locked and her breakthrough could not be more than 100,000 years. The 100,000 year soul beast on the first level is so perverted, and the 200,000 year fierce beast on the second level. Can I ask the cultivation base of the 10,000 year soul beast to fight it? Bibi Dong has an uncomfortable expression. Trial, you have reached the strength enough to accept my trial and you can come and see me. An ethereal voice came into Bibi Dong's ears. Who is it? Bibi Dong was extremely surprised. She had explored the starlight forest several times, but there was nothing special. This time, this strange sound led to the special task of the second layer, the test of the stars. Come to the center of the starlight forest, and you know it. Bibi Dong followed the mysterious sound instructions to enter the center of the starlight forest. There is nothing special here. Bibi Dong, who has been here several times, has no idea how many times he has explored this forest. But this time when she came to the center of the starlight forest, she encountered a mist, and in her mind, there was a picture of walking out of the mist of stardust. She walked step by step according to the mist of star, until she finally came to the central zone. The middle of the starlight forest, which was originally just a forest, has become extremely wide. The surrounding trees are as high as hundreds of meters. They surround the central plain. When you look up, you can see the stars above the sky, and the surrounding air is agile. The flashing dots of light. The source of these light spots comes from the dragon entrenched in the center. Bibi Dong could feel that it was this dragon that could help him suppress the violent aura of the dragon burial land. This giant dragon is extremely gorgeous, with 4 wings on its back, and a silver-white body. Behind the dragon's head, a ring is connected to her neck. However, her elegant body had 4 hideous wounds that were torn apart. On the wounds, there was an aura that Bibi Dong was familiar with. The aura was exactly the aura that permeated the place where the dragon was buried, and it was hundreds or thousands of times richer. Possessing a strong corrosive aura, is destroying the body of this dragon. However, don't think that she is injured, just that she is not threatening. This turned out to be a 150,000 year level soul beast. It was Bibi Dong who underestimated this trial. She thought that in this world, only the boss reached the level of 100,000 year soul beast. She opened her star eyes wearily, looked at Bibi Dong, and said, "Are you the tester of this samsara?" "This samsara tester?" Bibi Dong asked, "What do you mean by this?" "The world we live in is a space for trials. I am the Shining Dragon, you can call me Tia, and my mission in this forest is to lead the trialer to complete this key trial. Finally, complete the challenge to the ruler of the dragon burial land." Xinjiao Glory Longdia said, "When the tester dies, the world will be reset, return to the original state, and someone will come here again." Trial. One trial after another, they all completed the trial with me, walked towards the core of the dragon burial ground, and never came out again. Bibi Dong understood that the so-called trialer was actually the host of the system, and the last death was given to him. Has anyone passed this test? Bibi Dong asked. Xinjiao Guanghualong shook his head and said, even if there is, it is forgotten by me. What I have written down is the record of those losers. And the successful, I'm afraid he also died in the following trials. Bibi Dong said solemnly. It should be, otherwise there won't be you to try. Xinjiao Guanghualong said. Wounds on your body? Bibi Dong asked. It was caused by Tio. Tio. It's my big sis, the ruler of the dragon burial ground, the queen of sadness dragon. Xin Yao Guanghuilong said, Tio hates everything. She went astray and destroyed the Earth Dragon clan. I tried to make her sober. Our two abilities restrained each other, but on the cultivation base, I missed her completely. For a long time, I was defeated in a battle with her. I was seriously injured. I was shrouded in the starlight forest, but I could feel that her erosive power was eroding my life, and my time was running out. Bye. Since you have come to me, you can start the trial. Xinjiao Guanghualong said. Let's talk about it. What is your trial content? Bibi Dong asked. Defeat me, I will give you the key ability to defeat Tio. Xinjiao Guanghualong stood up with all his strength, opened its four wings, the dragon was bathed in the stars, and the wings behind her vibrated and flew towards the sky. Go, as the height continues to rise, her breath continues to ascension. The dragon soul beasts are all very beautiful, and Bibi Dong dared not look down upon him. Behind his back, the black and white wings spread out and flew out towards the sky, following the footsteps of the Xinjiao glorious dragon, to a position under the stars and above the clouds. The stars above shone, and the starlight spotted on the dragon, so that her gorgeous body was immersed in a piece of starlight. Beautiful, but extremely dangerous. Xing Long used her talent, Xinjiao, to use the power of the stars, Ascension's own comprehensive strength several times, to directly fire up. Chapter 75. A 150,000 year soul beast, a star Yao directly ascensioned his own comprehensive strength 10 times. Although 10 times the comprehensive strength does not mean that she will become a spirit beast of 1.5 million years, it also allows her strength to be enough to contend with a fierce beast of 2 to 3 million years. I thought she would be better off after being badly injured, but I didn't expect that she would be fully fired as soon as she came up. Feeling her soaring breath, Bibi Dong's complexion changed slightly, and there was no longer any fluke. In front of him, the claws of the dragon urged the star's light to kill Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong has experienced several months of training in the place of the dragon burial, and her spirit ability configuration is quite complete, but against this ascension star shining dragon, she can only avoid its sharp edge. The spirit abilities brought by the space weasel from a space attribute flashed away from the original position. The star claws of the dragon directly cut the clouds below as if cutting a cake, and fell to the ground unabated, leaving a scratch on the deserted dragon burial ground. Xinjiao brilliant dragon could not achieve a single blow, inciting the 4 silver white wings behind it, turning around and opening his mouth, a silver breath sprayed out and shot towards Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong flickered once at the start, avoiding this attack. The next moment, where Bibi Dong appeared in front of the dragon, the wand was pushed forward, and he used his soul skill, Poisonous Light. The beam of toxins converged and shot towards the body of Xinjiao Guanghualong, bombarding her body, especially where the 3 paw prints were on her body. Xinjiao Guanghualong's painful neighing, the toxins remaining on her body are still breaking out, eroding her body. Originally, Bibi Dong had a good talk with this dragon. When it came to the trial, she directly killed her. Naturally Bibi Dong would not keep her hands. Since she was wounded, she would attack her wounds fiercely. Bibi Dong retreated with a single blow. The next moment, the sharp claws of the Xinjiao Guanghui dragon once again soaked in Xinggui and fell to the place where she was standing. Starlight Grace. The starlight shining dragon shook its wings, and the starlight spread down and shrouded her body, quickly healing her pain, except for the 3 scratches on her body, the attack caused by Bibi Dong everything fails. This is too bullying. Bibi Dong watched her instantly recover from her injury, his face twitched slightly. Fortunately, Starlight Grace did not recover those 3 wounds, and Bibi Dong was relieved. If her recovery is as good as before, then she has no chance of winning. Xinjiao Brilliant Dragon stretched out 2 dragon claws again and tore them towards Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong's figure once again became illusory. Space ability, I have it too, Star flash. Xinjiao glorious dragon's eyes condensed, the whole body burst into starlight, and his body also became illusory. The next moment, Bibi Dong appeared on the other side of the sky. Before she could breathe a sigh of relief, the multi-year life and death crisis made her vigilant. She felt that the crisis of death behind her was about to hit. The next moment, behind him, the figure of a giant dragon flashed out of thin air, and the starlight claws that had been brewing for a long time slowed towards Bibi Dong. It was too late for Bibi Dong to escape, so she had to dodge her own vitals, and the white wings on her back were directly torn apart by the dragon's claws. The white feathers were stained with blood and fell to the ground in the sky. The pain stimulated her nerves, but reality did not give her any chance to breathe. The glory dragon succeeded with one claw, and the other claw was ready to go, grabbing towards Bibi Dong, wanting a claw to tear her apart. Enduring the pain on his back, Bibi Dong activated the spatial twinkling ability to avoid the kill of the Xinjiao glory dragon. The next moment, the star-shining dragon also launched a star flash, and directly killed her. Above the sky of the dragon burial land, there were flashes of light flashing, and two peerless beings kept fighting each other in the starry sky. It should be said to be a chase and flee. Xinjiao glory dragon had ascensioned its own strength several times from the beginning, and after entering the state, the lore attacked Bibi Dong like a storm. Bibi Dong also has the spirit abilities of Ascension's own strength, but this dragon will not give her any time to apply these spirit abilities. The effect is over. But after fighting for so long, I haven't seen the abnormal Ascension ability of Xinjiao Guanghualong. This state has been on. What kind of skills are so heaven-defying? All attributes are Ascension 10 times, and it can be opened for so long. Bibi Dong mentality, it's almost exploding. In the end, Bibi Dong did not delay until the end of her star flash effect, but delayed until the erosion of the wound on her body intensified. As a result of the full force, the Xinjiao glory dragon did not separate the strength to suppress its own wounds. As time pushed, the erosional scratches spread on her body, rotted her entire abdomen, the original gorgeous dragon body, the belly area has become ugly, exuding bursts of stench. This kind of injury also stimulated Xinjiao glory dragon, which slowed down her dense attack and gave Bibi Dong more and more opportunities to deal with it. Finally, the attack of the Xinjiao brilliant dragon became more and more messy, and the breath on the body began to become twilight. Some rotten belly even revealed white bones, and the thick juice of the flesh continued to drip down below. Sky. After she got rid of the dragon's attack, regardless of the wounds on her body, the fighter plane was fleeting, and her feathers skyrocketed at the position of her torn white wings, turning into a huge black double wing. Embrace the black feathers. Among the black feathers, the purple light converges into a ball of light, and the purple light contains the breath of death. Xinjiao brilliant dragon looked at Bibi Dong's mortal blow without any movement. The light of death zigwang blasted out of the black wings, and blasted towards the Xinjiao Guanghualong. The next moment, she had a movement. In front of her dragon claws, the stars converged and turned into a barrier. The purple light hit the star barrier and was absorbed by the barrier. Wave light barrier. The starlight barrier on the other side converged again, and Bibi Dong's attack shot out of the barrier and struck him in the direction of Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong didn't panic about the power that was bounced back. While attacking with both wings, he raised the wand with both hands. The formation formed on the wand, and the purple formation gathered the bounced light of death on the formation. On the other side, the Xinjiao glory dragon finally couldn't hold it. The barrier shattered. Bibi Dong took advantage of the situation. The death lights on the wings and wands shot out one after another, bombarding the Xinjiao glory dragon like a storm, and her figure fell heavily into the starlight forest.
If you're enjoying the story so far and want to hear the next parts, don't forget to like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And if you'd like me to continue the series, drop a comment below letting me know. Your feedback and support keep these audiobooks going strong. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.